Hello everybody and welcome to the show where after the collision we sift through
the wreckage.
The wreckage. I am Jimmy T, that is the vet, and that is the objective man himself, the glorious and the magnanimous Chanelo Vera Cruz. What's going on, man?
What's going on there to all the wreckage acts out there? You see, my wall behind me is impenetrable. It will not go through any wreckage whatsoever. This is impenetrable wall right here behind me. That means that I'm so glorious. It's a glorious wall. It's a magnanimous wall. It's an effervescent wall. It's the wall of walls. It's not the walls of Jericho. It's the wall of the PWC. It's the wall of the Hameen Media Group. It's the wall of everything.
Nice.
The professor.
The professor. We should have done that. And by the way, we are live on Hameen Media Group and Channel Attitude after the fact. Vet, you know what, man? I want to say this. It wasn't so bad of a friggin' show, but a lot of these matches, again, I don't know, man, if it really meant too much. But we'll get into the wreckage proper after soon. But anything to say on about this show, particularly before we get into the news?
Yeah, for me, when I always use my a la carte analogy, I always relate it to restaurants and food and things like that, and I use the particular talent as dishes that are available on the menu and stuff. So, in many ways, watching the show, this was like, you just go to like the nicest restaurant. Everything's clean, everything's bright, the atmosphere is great. Everything has got this nice presentation to it, and then like they just give you like one tiny little bite of food that they plated it up real nice, but there's really nothing there. So at the end of the day, I left the restaurant after several courses and I was still hungry. Wonderful dining experience, except I just didn't get the one thing I came for, which was a full stomach. So that just goes to show you that even when AEW can plate up a real nice show with a nice format that flows from thing to thing, what's actually there is just not that appetizing to me. I don't know if a Professor felt the same way, but that's just kind of my overall take on it before we get deep into it.
Well, Professor, speaking of a la carte,
wait.
there was a bit of a la carte on your menu, actually, Prof.
No, to like accentuate the vet's point, I'm going to use an analogy that happens in the East Coast. If any Hameenites are from the New York City area, they know this. When you go into a restaurant and all that stuff, they always put the grade of the restaurant. A's, B's, C's. Well, you never go to a restaurant that says C and low. So anyway, neither here nor there. But there's always this grade called grade pending. They put it on the front. So you choose to go into that restaurant. You don't know what grade it's gonna be. You don't know if it's gonna be F. You don't know if it's gonna be an A+. So you just go in there, with an open eye. If the food is great, that's so be it. But then when you find out that grade is an F, God damn it, you want to hurl, you want to blow chunks and stuff like that. So sometimes that's what collision is. You go into a restaurant with the grade pending, and you try to get some good food in you, and then when they put the grade and it's an F, I'm not saying that collision was an F, because again, it's always the wrestling is never the problem. The problem is the seasoning, if you will. The problem is, the menu is just so predictable. You just want some variety, you want some nuance, you want some sizzle with your steak, and sometimes that steak is dry. That's all I'm saying.
It was pretty dry, actually, boys. But we'll get into that wreckage in a moment. But first, we do have some news to report on in the world of professional wrestling. And I'm going to start with you first, Vet. Apparently, Ricochet wants to leave WWE. I still don't believe this, personally. Because why would he leave when he's got his future wife that works in WWE? Unless he does a Cody Rhodes and disappears, with Samantha Irvin. I don't know, but I doubt it. What's your take on all this Ricochet talk? Because it's building steam, especially in the last hour or so. People are really talking about it online.
Well, the report is that he has informed WWE that he will not be re-signing, right?
He did say that. Did he say that officially?
That's what the report is. See, it's very important that we report the report and not misrepresent the information that's available to the public. So, according to PW Insider, so blame Mike Johnson right, for whatever mistakes, or even give him credit for the accuracies or whatever. But they're reporting that their sources say that Ricochet has indeed told WWE he will not be re-signing. So if they're wrong about that, he's free to tell us that is an incorrect report. I can totally understand if Ricochet does not re-sign, because he's made his money there for 5 years. And he can go back to doing, if he thinks he can get a better shake somewhere else in terms of like creative or presentation or whatever, if he can be himself in a way that he's not being allowed to be, for example, then I can see why he might want to do that. I could also see why he would want to just stay there, but I kind of feel like either the writing's been on the wall and that's why he wants to leave, or they known he was going to leave for a while and that's why the writing's been on the wall what it's been, where he's, job this guy, job this guy, job this guy. Like, well, he's not sticking around, so we might as well get something out of him. Personally, I've always seen Ricochet as a big star. I had a vision for Ricochet. I've never seen his vision realized. If he were to go to AEW, which would be the obvious choice, they will not know what to do with him either. They will not see my vision. Even Ricochet might not have he might not even have my vision for him. So I don't know if anybody sees what I see in Ricochet, but he could have been a big, big star in the WWE, and much of that run was a Vince McMahon run, and it's just a lot of wasted time. So I will agree with Will Ospreay on that.
Well, Prof, what's your take on it, man? I mean, do you think this, the rumors are true? Is he leaving WWE like Mike Johnson claims he is, and that he's notified WWE that he's not re-signing? What's your take on it?
Well, Jimmy, my take on this is like, we will see the trolling on social media. We will see, the AEW neckbeards and the WWE trolls and all that stuff saying, well, Ricochet was never this, never that. He was always a mid-card. And then AEW was like, oh, this is the game-changing steal of the century. This is John Moxley level of stealing, or gets. So, I'm with Vet. I don't know what Vet's vision of Ricochet is, but I saw, Ricochet from Lucha Underground as Prince Puma. So I saw that. But the problem when I saw with Prince Puma was he didn't talk in Lucha Underground. Conan talked for a general amount of time during Lucha Underground. I saw the match with Ricochet and Will Ospreay, New Japan. The 90-second spot where what they did in Japan and what they did in Rev Pro, if I believe that, around 2017, around that 2016, 2017, around that time. So that was my introduction to Ricochet on that front. So I said it back then. I'll say it now. Is that okay? He's a spot monkey. That's all it is. He's always been that to me. And I'm not gonna. And again, if he goes to AEW, which is the obvious choice, guys, we already know this. He's just gonna rehash the match and the spot that he did with Will Ospreay. That's all everybody's waiting on. People could say, "Well, I want him against Kenny Omega," or "I want him against," you want him against Takeshita, you want him against Will Ospreay. Cool. But all he has been that aerial person. He's only been that. And the WWE exposed him for what he couldn't do. Maybe Vet, again, I don't know the vision that Vet has, but what I saw in WWE was a man who is just one-dimensional. I did not see character. I did not see charisma. I did not see anything. Maybe he needed to be the heel in a good suit. Everybody, when you wear the suit, guys, you always know that heel with the good suit and the sunglasses, and it's just, take no shit from nobody with the swag. Maybe that's what Ricochet needed. To me, it was just that boy that was bullied all the time, and he's trying to fight his bullies. He only had that one run with Braun Strowman as a tag team, to me, that had maybe potential. But anything before that, it was all NXT success. And again, that black and gold success was the one-dimensional thing. That's what Triple H was doing. He can utilize that one-dimensional success. He was a North American champion there and all that stuff. The only time he had the IC title, he had the US title, he had a resume, and he was the inaugural Speed champion. Let's not forget that. The most prestigious title in wrestling, the Speed Championship. He's wasting. He wants to go to AEW and then get rid of the Speed Championship. The legacy that he just created in 3 minutes or less. Come on, guys. What are we doing here?
Well, to Vet's credit, actually, I was with you, actually, Prof. I felt the same way. But to Vet's credit and Vet's vision on Ricochet, Vet, when you explained your vision to me on this very show about how you could do so much with merch, especially like, for example, like action figures, man, he'd be the perfect action figure. Like literally, like you could do so much. I mean, I know he's got action figures already, but you could do so much more than just what you see in the ring. I mean, in a way, the way he does wrestle is like a superhero character, to your credit, Vet, because, he does shit that others, can only dream of doing. So, Vet, I'll give you that credit. You got me to see what you meant with the potential with Ricochet. But to be fair to Ricochet, he has been frustrated lately, it seems, in WWE. So there's no surprise if all the rumors are true.
Yeah, just to clarify my vision, I look at like a guy that could have. They don't have. I think what they want Seth Rollins to be. I like Ricochet in that spot more.
The kids especially,
because he has the he has a lot more like crazy athletic ability than Seth Rollins. And I also just like the way he sells better than Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins doesn't sell anything. He just grabs his knee until it's time for the next spot
and screams.
Yeah, but I see in the terms of not in terms of a psychology now. He can't be this, but I'm looking at Ricochet in terms of like a 95-96 Heartbreak Kid, where they got a guy on top that is constantly battling bigger threats, but not look like the way Professor describes as fighting his bullies, which no one really thinks about Shawn Michaels in that way, and that's the difference. They screwed up the presentation of Ricochet by just making him seem like an afterthought or lower mid card or whatever. Just like, oh yeah, he's a flippy guy, which he is, but it's your company and you can tell him to do whatever kind of thing you want him to do. So if you're not getting the max value out of him, that's your fault. That's everybody that's booking him's fault. It's not what he can't do. I've seen what Ricochet can do. He doesn't need to prove anything else to me. And the one big knock against him is his, like his promo. But I've seen him do some decent enough promos. It all depends on what he's given and how he's comfortable presenting it. But yeah, I just see an alternate universe in which Ricochet could have been a much bigger star, but he can't, no wrestler can do it on their own. No wrestler decides, oh yeah, I'm just going to do everything I want to do. And then the company has to go along with that. There's usually at least a little bit of give and take. If not, you just do what I say, 'cause I'm the boss or whatever. So anyway, like I said, I don't know what Ricochet's vision is. I don't know what, Tony Khan's vision might be, but I don't think he'll be any more creatively satisfied if he were to end up going to AEW in the long run, because there's just a lot of people there not getting TV time, and he'll just be the newest one.
Could he possibly go to New Japan, or is that a far sort of chance of that happening?
I mean, people are leaving New Japan. They're not going to New
That's
Japan.
true. That's true. So AEW really is the only plausible thing.
Ricochet could set the market for himself. He can do that. He could do his list. He could travel around the world. He could go to England. He could go to Japan. He could play that kind of card right now, like Mustafa Ali is doing right now for himself. So he can book himself in that light and make him and set the bar for his, free agency, if you will. I just will say this, again, there's a lot of potential with Ricochet, or, people would have said this. If Ricochet stayed in New Japan and just been that New Japan guy, just like Will Ospreay did, maybe we would look at Ricochet in a different light, just like Will Ospreay did. He stayed in New Japan for all those years, and look where Will Ospreay is. We could take him seriously as a world heavyweight champion. We could take him seriously as a main event caliber. He went to WWE. He went to NXT. He was close. I think when he went to NXT, we looked at him as a high upper mid card kind of guy, but maybe not a main. Well, I'll just say this for myself. I'm not speaking for anybody else. Maybe he's not the main eventer, but he's an upper mid card guy. Again, the Intercontinental title situation or the U.S. title situation would have been great for him. But if he stayed in Japan, maybe we could have said the same thing. Well, Ricochet's coming to AEW. He's world heavyweight champion, all that stuff. So, it is what it is. When you pick the path, Will Ospreay stayed on his path, and that's where he is right now in AEW. And now a lot of people saying he's going to be one of the faces of AEW. We didn't say, if Ricochet stayed in New Japan, we probably would have said the same thing. And Ricochet would have been in maybe in AEW in 2021 or 2022. And we would have said Ricochet is going to be the face of AEW too. That's just why I look at it.
Funny enough, I preferred him as Prince Puma, even though he didn't talk. I don't know. I like the aesthetic of Prince Puma. Maybe it's better when he doesn't talk. You know what I mean? But Serge in the chat, your former co-host Vet, says Ricochet versus Daniel Garcia. Oh boy.
Book it.
I can picture that.
Yeah,
don't book it, please.
Yeah. Furthermore, on the Ricochet point and to Will Ospreay, it's like they're both their own worst enemy. You don't want them to have too much input on what's going on. That's the issue, because they really don't have the psychology to fully get over the kind of characters that they're trying to get over. They're just going to do every move they know in every match if you let them. So you have to corral that, train that, teach that, and slow them down a little bit to make their stuff mean more before they kill themselves. So that's just where I see that. And I don't know if Ricochet was ever going to be like a New Japan guy, or if he was just there for the Super Juniors tours and stuff like that. But that thing with Will Ospreay, the viral clip and stuff, is just an example of everything that's wrong with what the new generation thinks professional wrestling is. It's a weird exhibition of acrobatics that has nothing to do with anything in logic.
That's his legacy. That's Ricochet's legacy. That's, people won't remember a match of theirs. I'll say this. This is going to be a hot take. Will Ospreay could have 100 5-star matches, according to Dave Meltzer. I dare anybody try to tell me what was match number 45 in the 5-star matches. You can't name it. What was his first 5-star match? But you will remember that 90-second spot between him and Ricochet. That's all we will remember for the next 25 years.
You know what I remember about Ricochet? When he front flipped out the ring in NXT and landed on his feet. That's what I remember. And that presentation went a long way in terms of, when he came out, people really underestimate at times, the power of a good entrance music. That entrance that he had from NXT was like a real superhero entrance. It's like CFO got it. They're like, oh, this guy's a superhero. Okay, let's give him superheroic music. So it sounds like a cool superhero coming out. And his entrance was timed to that, and the light show, the smoke swirling, the beat of the song, and everything like that. And all his outfits that were homages to superheroes, the same way Rey Mysterio did, when he would have Flash outfits or Joker outfits or even Avatar blue people outfits. Ricochet did things like that. He did the All Might outfit or whatever. He had that presentation, and then when he gets called up, first thing they do, put a corny little Ricochet sound effect at the beginning of it, just to let you know right off the bat, don't take this guy seriously. Right before anything else happens, you hear that corny sound effect. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, where it's that bullet might as well have hit him, because you are letting people know. And he weirdly came up with Aleister Black at that time, as a tag team too. That was all. And who they gave Aleister Black when he had that cool entrance, and they gave it the phony little creaking wood sound effect when he rose up off the thing. It was just that was a shot fired by Vince McMahon telling Triple H, fuck you, your shit sucks, I'm gonna ruin it. You know, I will take this stuff from you that you're doing good with just so you can't have it, just so I can ruin it. That's the kind of civil war that was going on around that time. And that's part of the reason why people look at Ricochet now, and even people in the chat are burying him and stuff. It's because you all saw that presentation and it worked on you. Like, mission accomplished for Vince.
To be fair, all those are more positive memories. There's a negative memory about Ricochet on social media. Something to do with his booty hole, something to do with liking certain sexual things. I'm just saying, you know, everything you
that
just
ruined
said
it for me, straight up, boys.
Everything you just said is positive memories for Ricochet or potential memories. I just spilled out the negative memory of Ricochet. So, you know, AEW's getting a booty warrior. That's what they get.
Booty warrior. Oh no. I'm not gonna lie,
enough,
I agree with him.
Fair enough, but I didn't, you know, me personally, I never even saw that. I only heard other people talking about it. So imagine the average fan that's not really, I'm talking about the people that really are the wrestling fans that buy the tickets, not the vocal minority on social media. They don't know anything about any of that. So besides, you still got, even if somebody does stupid shit, you still got to market them to the best of your ability to try to make money with them. So, you know,
could you market him for a dildo possibly? I mean, anyway,
well, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. But no, but in all seriousness,
though, wrestling, AEWshop.com, the Moody Warrior, Ricochet.
Oh boy. I know, I'm just thinking of Vince McMahon for crying out loud when he was playing wrestler, if you know what I mean. But I won't go there. Because imagine the Ricochet. I wonder what that would have been. But but anyway, look, whatever happens, good luck to him. I mean, if he does leave while his contract is up, does this mean like he's got no compete clause in his contract? He can just appear in AEW as soon as possible? Does anyone know this?
I don't know. It would depend. Probably so, because of the contract he signed.
Right. Sorry, Prof.
That law that's passed in Congress where you don't, that no compete
clause. Oh, I heard about
that.
That's
kind of like, that's still sketchy, especially in the United States. Has it been ratified? Has it been passed? I don't know. So, you know, again, to each is, you know, I'm not going to say yes or no on that, but again, there's some flaky laws going on in the United States right now as we speak. Vet knows this too. So again, we don't know. So we'll just see if he can be on AEW All In at a certain time, and you'll know that that no compete clause doesn't exist anymore.
Right. We'll see if he does appear. T and Cooper now says in the chat, don't forget Darby and the hot sauce incident. I don't even know what he's talking about. What hot sauce incident? You do know what he's talking about.
I'm just telling you, there's some memories about Ricochet that's going to go on the other side. That's all I'm just saying.
For a bunch of casual fans, some people get really deep into it, apparently, pun intended.
Yeah. Anyway, just you know, leave your fingers out of your booty hole, boys. Just saying. But anyway, and hot sauce, I don't even want to know what was going on there. I really don't.
He must have had a match with Tracy Williams. That must have been the incident.
No, like it had to do with JR's barbecue sauce. That's all I'm going to say. The next segment.
Chipotle ketchup.
My boy. Anyway, enough of the hot sauce and finger poking. And I'm not talking about the finger poker doom, but you know what I mean. But still, anyway, we'll see what happens with Ricochet.
If he leaves, booty hole being the doomer.
Look, thank God I've never seen it, man.
That's
Samantha's problem now.
Yeah, lucky guy though. He's with Samantha.
That's actually a good, you know. But what Vet just said, you know, you never know.
She can get him to do her.
No. Sorry. I'm not saying. I'm just saying if she's in love with Ricochet, we know that relationship's going on. You know, sometimes it's easier to stay with the one you love. So you never know if Samantha Irby might just say, you know what, I want to go with my guy, and Tony Khan will like do a package deal, get Ricochet, get Samantha Irvin. You know, they need another ring announcer. You know, Tony Khan just loves to give out the money, guys. So you never know.
Who you talking about? Me, Zane, my boy. And Jim Barnett used to say that. It's a wink, wink, but I've heard JR say it a lot, and I like the way JR says it. So haven't you heard? Because it sounds disturbing, my boy. But Jim Barnett is the guy that he's, mimicking, obviously. And yes, he was gay. He was one of the first gay promoters, or the first gay promoter in professional wrestling history. But Jim Barnett, I think he doesn't get enough credit sometimes. He's done a lot of good things for professional wrestling back in the day, especially in my neck of the woods in Australia. The real WCW, before WCW was actually a thing, believe it or not. But anyway, we're not here to talk with Jim Barnett. But anyway, sticking with AEW news and WWE news, there's talk that Natalya could be signing with AEW also, boys. I just caught that now, and apparently she's interested in helping AEW and Tony Khan in the Owen Hart Memorial Cup, whatever it's called these days. Prof, what's your take on that? Do you think she could possibly leave? I personally think she will leave because she's been in WWE for way past, her expiry date, in my opinion. I think she's been there way too long anyway.
Could she be a WWE lifer and be a coach for the women's division in the Performance Center? Yeah, she could do that. That job is waiting for her right there. She could sign the deal on the line right there. Helping the AEW women's division, how, Jimmy? I mean, to compete in the Owen Hart Cup?
I have no idea.
Or to mentor the AEW's women's division on psychology and matches and match presentation. Again, define help, because, again, if you just want to go to the Owen Hart Cup just to compete, that's for yourself. That's your own selfish gain, your own selfish reasons. And again, for that part, for the performance part, does she have anything left to give in WWE? No. So she could do the same thing. She could go to, TNA, AEW, maybe New Japan, Stardom and stuff like that. Live out her dream opponent checklist for her before she wants to retire. So, is she going to be in the Owen Hart Cup and win? No. Tony Khan already has something set up. He already has the winner right now, whether it's Willow Nightingale, Kris Statlander, Mariah May for the Owen Hart Cup and all that stuff. That already is there. For that is just novelty points to have, Natalya in the Owen Hart Cup just for sentimental value. But she ain't going to win it. Maybe she'll come in third, but she won't win it. So again, it's just what kind of help does she want to give?
That I can't tell you, because the report only says she's interested in helping out in the tournament and that's it. So I don't know. But Vet, what do you think? Do you think she's, a given to jump ship and go to AEW?
I don't know. A given? No, I don't know anything. Here's what I think. I think that I think she thinks she's got more in the tank. She's not going to give it up. I think if the mentor role that she's had or had the reputation of having for the past several years has just been her way of coping and being a good soldier, thinking that she would get rewarded for it. I think she very selfishly would still like to have a run, and she's just like, well, I might as well help these other kids along the way so that I have somebody to work with if I ever get my run. Like, I that's what I really think it is. I don't think it's like a philanthropy deal with her. So if she thinks that she can get a run in AEW, that's why she'll go. I don't think she would care necessarily about helping other people first and foremost. Every wrestler should be, whether openly or privately, they should be thinking, I'm going to get the bag and I'm going to do it as long as I can, by whatever means I can. And, if she really is as old school as she wishes she was, then she would have that mentality of holding the young talent back and getting it all for herself before she goes. So now I could be completely wrong on that. Like, and it's not important for me to take a stance on that one way or the other. I'm just offering you guys a possible viewpoint based on everything that I've seen from her in her career, observing her. Like, even the stuff that she does that seems nice, seems like an ulterior motive or whatever, or just because what else can she do? And I'm not saying that she's had the fairest shake. I know that they've messed with her a lot over the years. So like, I get it. But as far as like whether she, what are her motives or what does she want to do? I just, ultimately, my point is, I feel like she just has more in the tank and she doesn't want to hang it up yet. And like Professor said, if you got a bucket list of dream opponents left, you're going to want to do that however you can. And if WWE's not going to make it happen, then I'll go somewhere where it can. or I'll just do it myself, independently.
Interesting. Todd Brownlee brings up an interesting thing in the chat where he says Natalya's situation is similar to Dolph Ziggler, great talent, but never considered the top woman who might be better off going elsewhere. I see where he's coming from, but make no mistake about it, though. You know how you said that, they've given her shit over the years, vet and whatnot, and which they have, and I'm talking about WWE. She does hold a lot of power, though, in that company in terms of the women's locker room. So, there's been all sorts of reports in the past that if you cross her, you're pretty much out of WWE if she wants you out. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I personally don't care if she ends up in AEW or stays with WWE. I'm indifferent to her now. Don't get me wrong, she's a... Do you consider her a legend, for the women's division? I guess you would, right, guys?
There's a legend, and then there's
she's
just old.
For a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, whatever. The point is, she has left her mark in WWE, whether she's been viewed as the top woman or not. She has won the top championship on multiple occasions. But sticking with WWE and AEW and with wrestlers crossing over and whatnot, apparently Penta El Zero Miedo, boys, could be interested in jumping to WWE, and WWE is very interested in signing him. Vet, I can see this happening, dude, for some reason. And if I was him, I would jump.
Do it. Do it now. Everybody involved, do it. Sign him, lock him up, pay whatever it takes to get Pentagon. Like, we can't have all this, weird, long, stupid, name. Get that settled. Get all those rights issues settled, trademarks settled. Pay them whatever they want. Let him be Pentagon. Give him the Cero Miedo as the trademark, the catchphrase or whatever. And then just start printing money with all those toys and masks and variations and, video game and all this. Just do everything you can to get those images out there, because regardless of everything else, he is a cool looking guy. Like, you want to see a guy that looks cool. He looks cool. Kids will think he's cool. Adults will think he's cool. George Kittle obviously thinks he's cool. So just, lock him up. He's one of the few luchadors who does not he doesn't live and die by flipping on stuff. He'll just sit there and fight the whole time if that's what it calls for. I feel like he only flips sometimes in AEW just to fit in. I don't think he really wants to do it like that much. So let him be the brawler that he was, kind of Lucha Underground era.
That was the best version and impact.
Yeah, man, and then just start that marketing machine. Just start it up, start it, and start getting that merch out there for the kids.
Prof, could he be the next Rey Mysterio if Rey Mysterio is on his way out, say, due to age? He's getting up there in age. I mean, obviously Ricochet could have been in that spot. Speaking of Ricochet earlier, I felt like he could have been the face of like the luchadors per se, even though he's not technically a luchador, but you know what I mean. But I guess wrong place, wrong time at the time. And now if Penta comes in, I think he would be in the right place at the right time if he was to jump to WWE.
You might be shocked, Jimmy and Vet, with what I'm about to say. Okay. I don't want him to go to WWE. I think he should stay in AEW. The reason I don't want him to go to WWE is who's in charge. If Vince McMahon was in charge, we have the Mexican Undertaker with Penta.
You
with
think
Triple
so?
H? Yes, I would. Because wait, Jimmy, I was looking at my face. Wait. But with Triple H, we have a guy that will go into WWE either joining LWO or Legado del Fantasma group. He will be stuck in some cultural war that I don't want to see. But again, with everything you said and the history of the Penta image, and I'm talking about Lucha Underground, Vince McMahon would be like, you know what? I might have a Mexican Undertaker. I don't need the next Rey Mysterio. I might have something, and it could go worldwide, and people might think it's crazy. But with Penta's abilities, his mat technician on the ground, and then sometimes, to stay with the boys, like Vet says, to do some flips and shit, he would have been a great, dark, mysterious Mexican Undertaker. I'm just saying that, but the wrong person is in charge. Just think about it. I want him to stay in AEW. At least he's in a position with the Lucha Bros. He could be the contenders for the AEW Tag Team Champions. I don't see him in the main event picture. Maybe the TNT title, maybe maybe the international title in quotes, but I don't see him doing anything in WWE. That's just me, and I'm not even trolling here. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I'm with you. But all he's going to do in AEW is more jobs, so he might want to just try it. Also, I agree that Triple H may not have that vision, you know? I'm speaking optimistically. I could easily fit him into that whole thing that they already have. That would be easy. You know, it took me 5 seconds to think of it. You march him in there, and then both sides are trying to get on him, and he won't join either one. And he does his own thing as the Mexican Undertaker. Now, as Mexican Undertaker, as far as Vince McMahon goes, he wouldn't have saw it either. Because as soon as he walks in there 5'7", Vince McMahon would never have cared about him ever again at that point. So neither one of them can. I'm not saying nobody's getting their value out of him, which is the Ricochet story, which is the story of so many people. I mean, Jimmy, we were talking about Mark Henry, like how many years of his career wasted, no max value. Right. Nobody's getting the max value. Nobody has the vision. These people that are called visionaries and credited with being visionaries, they don't see shit. They just don't. Like, they don't even see what they have. And even the guys that you guys think are over aren't even as over as they could have been. John Cena could have been more over. Everybody could have been. The Undertaker could have been more over, really. I mean, so many people could have been more over, and just as over as they were, like, we settle for mediocrity sometimes. But like, we're just talking about, like, just from the image. Here's this guy in an 8x10, a glossy 8x10. You don't know how tall he is. You just know he looks cool, and that's the marketing there. I was
going to say that, right?
You know, like, that's the thing that all those guys in Legado, all those guys in the LWO that they don't have. Put a Joaquin Wilde on 8x10. What's the difference between him and Angel Garza? Nobody knows. You know, you would have to have followed their whole career to know any differences of them. But if you just put two pictures side by side in front of somebody that's never seen them before, and then you slide a Penta picture right up in between them, who's gonna win that Pepsi challenge, right? So that's basically what I'm saying. That's what you have right now. And WWE seems very interested in, like, superficial levels of marketing and merchandise and those type of things. They always have been. I believe it was, who was it? Was it Ed Ferrara that called them a t-shirt company that puts on wrestling matches? Yes. That's fine. Yeah. It doesn't need to be anything else than that. And Penta is your poster boy, your newest poster boy for that. And he doesn't have to do one flip to get over with a certain segment of the population. That's why I say do it. Everything that Professor said is valid as well, because he's talking about the real world situations. So it's really, you know, you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side, but sometimes you got to bet on yourself. That's a phrase that keeps popping up in wrestling all of a sudden. Bet on yourself. Usually means you have to go to TNA because nobody else will sign you. So, you know, but
you know what? To your credit, Prof, Vince would have seen something like that when he's watching the TV screen. But like the vet said, the second he would have met him in person, he would have been like, he's a little luchador. You know what I mean? He would have looked at him like a little man. 100%, just like
again, Vince always says that, you know, he listens to a lot of people. I know that people will say that Vince has his own image and, you know, whatever is funny to him and in his own world and all that stuff. I get that. I understand that. I'm just saying, but if the lightning bolt hits, he would market it. He'll find a way to, again, make some money out of it. I think, again, with Triple H, his motivation to get Penta is just, we stole another AEW guy. We stole an AEW original. So again, I'm not cool. If you want to do that, that's great. I just don't see any value in Penta in WWE. Then
Yo, Prof, you still there?
We're having some technical difficulties, I think.
Yeah, I'm not delayed, am I, Vet? To you?
You got me, guys?
Not delayed.
No, you just seem delayed, Prof, a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, you were cutting such a hellacious promo that the internet shut down.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Conspiracy. It's a conspiracy.
No, well, look, I don't know. Both you boys brought up great points. I mean, so either way, it doesn't feel positive. Whatever happens at this point, I just feel like in AEW though, he's never been used right at all. Never. He's never had a singles run. You know what I mean? Like a proper singles run. He's left with his brother all the time. And don't get me wrong, he kind of seems happy about it. He doesn't seem to really care. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm misreading things. But going by what I see on television, he seems happy. I don't think he really gives a shit if he has a deep and meaningful program or not.
Maybe it's the schedule because he fights maybe once or twice a week. He go to Mexico. Is he AAA or CMLL? I don't remember which is which. Is he one of those?
CMLL with
CML.
No,
so maybe he
would be AAA. Penta's AAA.
Was he? Oh no, yeah, you're right. I think it is AAA because he's on Triple Mania. So yeah.
Yeah, so he could go to he could go to AAA, do some, he can main event there. That's why he's not maybe he's not as frustrated as we want him to be. So he could go to AAA, main event there, and all that stuff. So the schedule is probably more conducive for Penta to do certain things in Mexico like that. Or if he wants to leave AEW, then go to MLW because they still kind of honor that Mexican, and America kind of relationship right there.
Either way, we'll see what happens. But you're right. Look, boys, do you think Triple H, look, as much as, everyone gives him credit, and so have we've given him credit, and he has made WWE per se better, don't get me wrong. But he seems to not know how to book ethnic wrestlers, shall I say. You know what I mean? To put that term lightly. I feel like he doesn't know how to book black wrestlers properly. And I guess the same with Mexican wrestlers. He just doesn't seem to know what he's doing in terms of them. Is it because he's out of touch in some ways in terms of, I don't know, ethnicities and whatnot, or he doesn't care enough? And like, was it you that said that, Vet, about he's just, or maybe you, Prof, about him just bringing anybody from AEW to say, he brought in another wrestler from AEW. Vet, do you think he's a little, overrated? I mean, he has said himself also that he uses, his own writers more so than his own decisions, and then makes his mind up from what all the writers have put down. So I don't know. What do you think, Vet?
I mean, again, it's all speculation on my part, but I just feel as though Triple H is letting people do their jobs, and he's kind of got an embarrassment of riches there because even, some of the least interesting people are some of the most talented, wrestlers on the market. So, I made jokes about guys like the, Legado del Fantasma or whatever, but I mean, Santos Escobar is great. It's just that they're not doing anything with them, but that's what I mean. They have so many people and only so much TV time. So no matter what anybody's ethnicity is, like he struggles to get them all on the playing field. It's just the way it is. And I think if he is letting people do their jobs, then maybe they're just not as qualified for their jobs, and maybe they'll get sorted out eventually. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't think he should get as much credit I don't think any figurehead should get as much credit or blame as they do. But that's just that's just a human nature thing to just take the one person that we know and then point all the fingers at him because we don't know anybody else. We just know the one person, so we blame them. Or we give them the credit or whatever. So yes, to answer your question, yes, overrated. Yes, underrated. Yes, letting people do their jobs. Yes, making decisions himself. This comes with the territory anytime you're put in a position like that. Anywhere, any part of the world, any kind of job.
Prof, before I get your take, I just want to say, Zane Vicious says in the chat, the white dude from New Hampshire can't book ethnic wrestlers. I mean, he's right. I mean, he's from New Hampshire for crying out loud. But, Prof, what's your take? Is there something to that?
I'm more confident in terrorizing booking talent more than Triple H. I'll just say this. Everybody has their guys. Vince McMahon had his guys that he was pushed to the moon. Triple H, as we're seeing during his era, he has his guys, and you can tell where they are on the card. Look at Gunther as a good example on that marquee. Tony Khan has his guys of people that he wants to push in a certain light. So that's all it is. If you have the power of the pen, you will promote and push your guys that you like. So Triple H, you see who he likes and who he can book and all that stuff. And again, we'll see, people, there is a honeymoon period for everybody. Tony Khan has been through his honeymoon period, and now people are being a little bit critical. So Triple H maybe has another year or a year left on the honeymoon period per se, and then we'll be like, okay, we're going after Triple H and seeing what he's done wrong. And one of the first things we always see wrong is people say, well, he can't book ethnic wrestlers. So, that's Exhibit A. Look at, again, we could say Vince McMahon booked Bobby Lashley better than Triple H. Oh,
I agree with that, actually.
So, I'm just putting it right there. How about the Street Profits? That was a Triple H find, and you could say that was a Triple H kind of, booking for an NXT. What are they doing on the main roster? So it's the same thing. They were trying to do the Hurt Business 2.0, even though they didn't want to say that. So again, it's just he wants to push his guys to the moon, and there's certain people, and you can tell about the TV time. If there's a special project that Triple H wants to prove a point with people, he'll put them on Front Street. I can, there's certain, and here's a good example of this. Like from the NXT Black and Gold days, you can remember those guys. Like Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura and stuff and Bobby Roode and all that stuff. Those were Triple H guys. And everybody was
hyped during that time.
And you was hyped, right? And Ved was hyped, and we were all hyped and all that stuff. And what were we saying when Vince McMahon had the power? Oh, if Triple H was in total power, these guys would be, the pillars of WWE. So now he's got the pen. So who are his pillars? That's the thing. Is like, who does he want to put?
Who is his pillars
in that life? Who is his guys?
That's true.
Finn Balor's there. Shinsuke's still there. Or do they feel as big? Maybe Finn Balor because he's in Judgment Day.
Finn does. Finn kind of does, right?
But does Shinsuke? That's a Triple H guy. He was marking out for Shinsuke. It was a coup for Triple H to convince Shinsuke Nakamura to come to WWE and do that challenge. Is Shinsuke part of his pillars? No, not right now. But you can look at Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is a Triple H kind of project, in air quotes.
Seth Rollins, you could say, is a pillar too to Triple H, I think, anyway.
Yeah, but you can tell who Triple H values more in his pet projects or just who he wants to push. Everybody's the same way. Vince, Tony Khan is the same way.
No, I agree with that. Todd says in the chat, it's always been that way, and that offends me as a black man and as a wrestling fan. Well, it's true. I mean, it is what it is. And he also says, thoughts on Freddie Prinze Jr. possibly starting his own promotion. I feel like all of these talent might be used to their potential if they went to work for him. He's been saying this for years, Todd, and still nothing's happened. So, I mean, am I wrong in saying that? I mean, he has. He's been saying this for years. I feel like he's all talk, really, and that's about it. Vet, am I wrong in saying that?
Yeah, my only comment on Freddie Prinze's promotion is
jeez. That threw me off. Prof, do you agree with that statement?
I will expound on Vet's eloquent, comeback. Man.
Nice. Labrat says DIY is a Triple H pillar. Oh God.
Yeah, but not really. Like you see those guys of like he's some people, I know some of those guys were, for the Finn Balor and Shinsuke examples, they were. Triple H was really into those guys, and then he handed him over for several years to get ruined, and now he has to rehab that. He's got to figure a way out of that. Like he can't just immediately come in and just dump the Judgment Day. I guess he's trying to work his way through that. Maybe Shinsuke is gone now because people need some time to forget that he's been doing nothing but jobs for Cody Rhodes for the past however long. Like, I don't know, but there's no simple answers when it comes to these things. There's just a lot of turmoil that's been going on there for the past 5 years that's involved Triple H and Vince going at it with each other and trying to get their own, visions for the company to align, and it just hasn't happened. It took a full coup. Right.
And even right now, is it just me or does WWE feel flat a little bit again? Because I feel like it's kind of at a flat spot at the moment.
Post-WrestleMania flatness.
Yeah, true. That always happens every year. Sonic the Hedgerat says Finn does not feel like a big deal from first ever Universal Champ to just following a guy with the title around. I disagree with that, Sonic. I think that he's back on track. I mean, he's not the main event guy, but if you need...
He's not back on track.
You don't think so?
No, absolutely
I think
not.
in Judgment Day, he's been all right.
Get back on track instantly, but right now, no, he's not. It's just him and JD McDonough are like the flunkies.
Yeah, that's
the worst presentation Finn Balor's ever had. He had a better presentation riding a motorcycle with Matt Bloom than this.
Yeah, I don't mind him in this role. I don't know. Prof, what do you think? Do you think he's... I mean, he does have more potential, don't get me wrong, but in this role, he's not too bad, in my opinion.
The payoff will be when he betrays Damian Priest and maybe he could chase the belt. But that's if Damian Priest will have the belt if, whatchamacallit, Drew McIntyre wins it at Clash of the Castle. So are you just pay off Damian Priest against Finn Balor just for the leadership of Judgment Day? Because then that's a moot point right there. There's nothing on the line, really. So... I like Finn Balor. I like his history there from NXT. I like him being the first Universal Champion. I think, again, just like Vet said, the power struggle between Vince McMahon and Triple H, the demon Finn Balor could have been something, could have been marketable. But again, they dropped the ball on that. So you could blame Vince. You could blame.
To be fair, that's his decision, apparently, Prof. It's him that doesn't want to play the demon character anymore. For some reason, he's come out and said that publicly.
No, I understand that, but put it this way: like, what was the most appealing thing about Finn Balor and Fergal Devitt, or whatever you want to call it, in New Japan when he painted his body just to associate a character? I remember he was Venom, and then he had other kind of paint jobs, and that just made it appealing. And that was just another side of him. Maybe the demon thing was kind of like they kind of oversaturated the demon because we did not know what the demon was, especially that match against him and Roman Reigns. So I don't want to backtrack there, but it just made it look very stupid and cartoonish. But there was potential with the demon character. There was potential with a split personality Finn Balor type of stuff, but they just couldn't do it.
Right.
Which
match
played
was that the one? Role.
Was the Roman Reigns match? Was that the one where the PA system gave him CPR?
Yeah. The lights went out and he just kept going.
Yeah. If that had been me, if I had been booked to do that, I wouldn't want to be the demon anymore either. So that's probably the reason why he said, I don't want to do it anymore, because if this is what you guys are going to do with it, I'd just as soon not do it. Like, it probably means more to him to not see it get slaughtered like that, and embarrassed in front of everybody, than he'd just rather just not do it. It would be my take on it.
Because I don't remember that. I must have missed the event, or I don't know what the hell.
Forget it. Stay forgetting it. Don't remember it. Let's just move on. What else do we have, Jimmy? What other news do we got, Jimmy?
Well, look, there's a lot of news, but
we are recovering, Jimmy, from this. Yes. We remember this.
We need to
CPR. I don't remember it. I must have missed the show. I don't know why, but I must have, man. I don't recall that, but it's funny that you guys bring it up. Look, I'm going to stick with this as the last piece of news because there's all sorts of news, but to me, I'll say this is the most significant of the bunch right now in terms of what's left. And apparently, WWE is very interested in a few TNA wrestlers. And in particular, they want Josh Alexander. And who's the other one? There was one more that they wanted. And apparently also, besides her, also Leon Slater. Now, Vet, you're the resident TNA guy.
I am.
I don't know much about Leon Slater and how good he is, but I know how good Josh Alexander is. I can see Josh Alexander possibly joining WWE. And if Gable stays with WWE, who's also rumored to possibly be leaving, I mean, I can see Triple H putting them two together only because, amateur wrestler. Let's put him in and make him the world's greatest tag team once again.
Well, you know what I mean? Ethan Page is there.
Yeah, true.
So we could have the North reunion.
No. We don't need another Canadian faction.
No, it's pronounced
please.
North, Jimmy. It's pronounced North. Not North.
We don't need another Canadian faction. And not again, please.
No,
Might as well bring in Bobby Roode.
And then bring in Natalia.
Also bring in, what's it called? D'Amore as well. Got D'Amore. Have him as the manager. Team Canada. Hey, Eric Young as well. There you go.
We could do it with white people too. Like it's not only other ethnicities that have to get
we don't need
together. We could get a group of white people that
we don't need
if they're Canadian, that avoids the usual connotation of a congregation of white people.
Fuck it,
so
bring in Hacksaw Jim Duggan once again too from Team WCW.
Come on, Ben. Be honest. Triple H has fucked over white people so many times. Come on,
so many times. That's right. CM Punk. Yeah. Well, who cares about Josh Alexander is my number one point. Leon Slater, though, that's the one that most people probably are like going to give the Conan who. But there's a good reason for that. He's 19 years old. He's black. He's English. He does flips. Yes, and he a few, like I would say, 200 push-ups a day, and this guy's physique will be ready in 6 to 8 months time. He just needs to do a little more chest press exercise. Just spend all day on all the chest machines, do all the free weights, do all the barbells, do all the machines, just everything chest, and this kid will be good. But yeah, he's quite a prospect. So if you're interested, you might check out some clips or whatever from TNA recently. I like him. Okay. But unlike a lot of guys like that, he's got some size to him. He's got some height. He's not, like I said, obviously from my push-up comments, he's not super jacked. He's just kind of plain body, maybe a little bit bigger than Sami Zayn, but he's tall. So, he checks a few boxes, and I could see why they would be interested in him, because at 19, they're looking at, it's like, okay, unspoiled, fewer years of bad habits built up. We can get this in NXT, give him some fundamentals. If he doesn't already have fundamentals, he seems okay.
And get him at a bargain basement rate.
Get him at a bargain basement rate. Get that rookie contract. Definitely, yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog says,
yeah, black in English, that's not a thing. It's a thing. It's a thing. When we're looking at things that are different, like black.
Why? Because he sounds different. Come on.
That's right. Well, anybody from England is automatically like, you're okay.
Yeah,
this is different.
You could put him in a mask, vet, and go in NXT. He could be Black Panther. He's black in English. It's a thing. It's a thing. It will work.
He could be, or if Ricochet's contract expires and then he shows back up in NXT as Prince Puma, but then we get Dark Puma. And now we've got an angle.
There you go.
Dark Puma. I like it. I like it a lot. Also, T.N. Cooper wants to know who from TNA Wrestling would do great in WWE. Vet, since you're the TNA guy, once again, who do you think?
I mean, everybody knows there's only one answer for somebody that would do great.
Moose.
It's actually kind of in my, obviously he would do great, but now I will just speak for Professor here, speak as Professor. They're not going to do anything with him. They'll just use him as a good quality win for one of their guys. But I'm just saying, like, all things equal in an optimistic world, of course, Moose would be a main eventer anywhere in the world. So obviously him. But when I watch WWE, when I watch TNA, I don't see a lot of WWE in any of those guys, really.
Damn.
I really don't. It's really a one-man show to me. Maybe a two-man show with Joe Hendry. Because Joe Hendry will do a lot of, like,
I don't understand the hype, bro.
He'll do a lot of the goofy comedy that WWE fans are used to seeing over the years, so he'd fit right in with that.
Isn't he English too?
He's big and tall, and you can
he's from England too.
He's from Scotland, so
whatever.
You got a good. Don't say whatever, Jimmy. You're from England too.
No, hey, stop it. Don't you get started on that. Prof, what's your take, man? Anyone that interests you in Impact or TNA that could possibly cross over with WWE other than Moose, I guess?
Moose is perfect for NXT. I don't know about the main roster.
I agree with that.
I would go with this, again, because the talent level of TNA is it's Moose on one level and then everybody else on a lower tier. And that's very bad because, again, you got to have some buzz if you're going to go on, debut on Raw. You're going to have some buzz debut on SmackDown. Yeah, a few 100,000 marks could say, "Oh shit, it's Leon Slater on SmackDown." So what? You know, what I mean, again, I'm just being honest here. But you go to NXT, you can get, you know, again, all these guys in TNA, from Moose to Eddie Edwards in the system, and who else? I could, you know, again, ABC, they are perfect for NXT, and they are perfect for the timing of NXT because again, they're moving over to the CW network. So you need some eyes on the product for the CW audience. You need some new fresh faces, and you need some seasoned people because again, those performance center WWE people, some of them are a little bit too green for prime time. So you just need some people that are a little bit, I'm not going to say a little bit more polished, but at least a little bit more, you know, wrestling ready, in my humble opinion.
Revamp says Moose has domestic violence history. That's true. That's probably why WWE have never really looked at him. But, you know, it is what it is.
That's a public relations nightmare for WWE, especially for being a publicly traded company.
Only because, I mean, look, I don't know how...
But remember, this is TKO now. This is not WWE. So, you know, if Dana White could slap his wife and still the stock is up,
yeah, that's true.
I'm not trying to be funny.
True.
Moose can come
you're right.
WWE right now.
You're right. And I think it's been enough time since then. I know it sounds bad. But then again, in saying that, you're going to get your stupid idiots in the IWC. They're going to scream foul if he was to sign with WWE. And that's what I hate about today's wrestling fandom. There always has to be these idiots that just want to ruin it for everyone because people apparently don't believe in second chances anymore, man.
No, it's one way or the other. That's it. And then you only have one chance, and then you're supposed to be excommunicated from the rest of your life. So that's a bad thing, number one.
Well, like Zane says, the professor gets it.
I get it.
Some people aren't. Some people every night. Right, you get it every night. Some people just aren't over enough to have their back history looked into. You know,
right? Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
There's all kinds of degrees and levels of markism.
It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. But in saying that, fellas, we've spent a good hour on talking nothing but news. It's been a pretty busy week in professional wrestling. And we could have spoken more, but then we'll be here for 2 hours talking more news. But I think it's time we sift through the wreckage. So, Vet, take it away, my friend.
All right, let me put on my sifting gloves. Hold on.
Make sure everybody... Prof, you better put your gloves on, man.
Yeah, we're on the way to the... we're on the way to the accident site right now, and it's not looking good.
Jesus.
And this has got a lot of items in your a la carte menu, Prof. Starting with the very first match.
Let's start with this. This could be this could be the appetizers, the main course, the dessert, the drinks, everything in one. Who knows? For some people, this might be it. But we get Wheeler and Claudio Claudioson versus Wheelson and Hollywood Axe the Axon. What is up with this guy? This is like, is this 96 NWO Axon now? Like, why was he wearing those tights? What was up with this?
I closed my eyes and, you know, I thought that was Hercules from 1991 Power and Glory.
Dude, I thought that too. I wrote that in my notes. I wrote that shit in my notes, man. Power and Glory, 92. Hercules, 100%, or even the Powers of Pain. Like, but small versions. You know what I mean? Like, real small versions. But yeah, sorry, I had to say that because that popped me when you said that, actually, Prof.
Yeah, it's so somebody's a fan. Let's see. So that's the match we got to start out, this tag team match. Wheeler Yuta is still...
I don't mean to interrupt, but you don't need to really review, you know, FTR against BCC because you could take your notes from the wreckage a couple of weeks ago before Revolution and just implement that because it's the same shit. It was the same match except it was Wheeler Yuta coming back from concussion with Claudio Castagnoli. They just had a draw, guys. It's the same fucking thing. So I'm just saying, you can read those notes and then add the little twist. I know.
Way ahead of you. I have no notes. My only note is that Wheeler Yuta is still the pure champion. Well, they should have stripped him.
What?
Get it?
He's
pure stripped.
Yeah.
All right.
Pure stripped.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know why he gets to keep the belt and be out for however long, but anyway, so yeah, like I said, this match was a match. It was the same thing we saw last time. I think Wheeler has more abs than we saw him last time. Other than that, Didn't really notice any differences besides Hollywood Axe Axon and his weight belt and his lightning.
Was
tights.
that a weight belt? You know what it reminded me of? You know when you go to a wedding, the old school weddings especially, right? And you know the grooms the groomsmen and shit would be wearing fucking tuxedos, and I have that belt. It's not really a belt, but do you know what I'm talking about? It's like
it looks like a waiter's belt on the
right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying, right? Yeah. You don't see it today.
Are you trying to say a cummerbund, Jimmy?
I don't know what it's called, but that's what it reminded me of. If that was a weight belt, it didn't really look like one.
No, bro, he was dressed like Hollywood Hogan. Anybody that didn't watch, go look at it. Go look at a picture. Go pull up the video. Look at Axe Axon. He's dressed like Hollywood Hogan. I don't know why. He had the white boots. He had the weightlifting belt. He had long tights. Since when does Axe wear long tights? And it had lightning bolts on it. He's Hollywood Hogan. Lightning bolts. What's so funny?
I'm laughing because it's true. It's actually true. You know what I mean? He's Hollywood Hogan when you put it that way. Fuck.
Yes. No, not when I put it that way. When you look at it with your face. Jesus.
Like Todd said, that's an insult to Hollywood Hogan.
Tell me about it. That shouldn't work for him. He should be calling people.
It shouldn't.
Anyway, but yeah, like Professor said, 20-minute time limit. It only took me 10 minutes because that's what my speed was on. And then they try to do the 5 more minutes gimmick, right? And then we get Brandon Cutler on TV for the first time, and it's still in a long time, and it's still way too soon. He's trying to enforce that the contract they signed was for only 20 minutes, not 25. So he gets in the ring and they kick the shit out of him. And then at the end, Claudioson says, like, anytime you want to run it back, let's do it. So I will say that this whole thing was corny, but I fully expected that after they beat up Brandon Cutler, that was just going to be their out. And then they were not going to address the fact that they were just about ready to fight for 5 more minutes. And then they just shrugged it off. They actually did come back, readdress that point. Like, okay, I guess we're not fighting for 5 more minutes, but next time we'll fight for whatever. So like, I like that they mentioned it. Not that it's a small thing, but it does, it does matter. The details matter. Otherwise it's all the same stuff. Professor, anything to add to this?
I just like the name Dax the Axe. I just wish Cash had a cool nickname like Cash the Smash. So, let's get that trending. Cash the Smash.
Well, since we got Wheeler back, I thought he should go back to Wheelson.
Yeah.
It's one of his older gimmick names.
Can we call him the Williamsons or some shit?
Wheelie Wheeler.
Wheeler. Yeah, I like it. Wheeler. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Prof. We've seen this. I've been complaining week in, week out. Usually, Collision is the tag team show for some reason. Especially, it's usually, filled with 6-man matches, practically 90% of the show. We didn't get that this week, but goddamn, how many times do we need to see this? And what's the story? Oh, they went to a time limit draw, so let's do it again. It's lazy. Do something, man.
No.
Do a program.
You know what, Jimmy and Vet? I need you to expound on this because, again, I'm just going by what I saw. Remember, Daniel Bryan is Team AEW. Daniel Bryan put his body on the line in Anarchy in the arena match. But the other guys of BCC has been kind of quiet on that. They just say, let Daniel Bryan do his thing and stuff like that. But then when Daniel Bryan was okay, they had to finish that war with the CMLL guys. For what? It wasn't for Team AEW, really. It wasn't for Team
what happened
AEW,
with that?
really. It was just BCC saying we're the best group out there. And now we got this match, and they want to inject the elite stuff. So now is BCC part of Team AEW? Again, you could say a lot of things that, Excalibur, or not Excalibur, but Tony Schiavone has to really be crystal clear and explain to the audience what's going on here, because I remember like Claudio Castagnoli, or Claudio, as Vet really likes to call him.
Claudio's son.
Claudio, yeah. Well, I remember Claudio does not want to be involved with what Daniel Bryan wanted to do. He was kind of like standoffish. He was just like,
forget about that. That didn't happen. Don't worry about that.
I saw it. I saw it. That's the problem. I saw it. I remember it. It's in my head. You know, I'm wearing the wreckage.
It was only 2 weeks ago.
But I'm wearing the wreckage glove, guys. I'm that's forensic evidence right there. I remember Claudio saying, I don't want nothing to do with this. And now they're putting something like that in there. That make it make sense.
Right.
Well, first of all, I think in addition to the gloves, we should also put a mask on. I don't want you to breathe in any of this toxic, these fumes and this dust. There's particles in the air. We don't want you to. Yes. Yeah. The thing about Claudio and Brian was kind of similar to, like, when you're in love with somebody, but they're an addict and you can't watch them destroy themselves. It's basically that. He just basically said, I can't be a part of it, but I guess I still am a part of it. Just not when you're doing hardcore rules matches, then I won't be a part of it, but I'll be a part of other things or whatever. So, I mean, I kind of get that story. They're not really continuing to tell it, though. It's just like whatever they need to do in the moment. And so that's why you have guys that, you switch in a Wheeler, like, all right, well, here's this kid's back,
Wheelie Wheeler.
Yeah. I guess we can, I guess we can use him, in the place that BCC has those, like, the interchangeable parts. John Moxley's doing his own thing. He's not too interested in any of this stuff. He's got a whole other company's belt. He doesn't have time to worry about fighting with, imports or the greatest tag team in the world, yet they can't pin the guy that's been out for however long. That's like the whipping boy of the Blackpool Combat Club.
Chokers,
like, he can't take a fall from the best tag team in the world. Any two slapped together guys can just go toe to toe with the best tag team in the world. On any occasion. That they really have not defined themselves as the best at anything since they've been in professional wrestling, period. So
AEW. Yes, because it's AEW. I got it. Yes, thank you, Todd. You're right.
Right. And on top of all of that, none of this goes with the a la carte theme. You're trying to take the whole thing into account. Like, you're trying to take the whole promotion and the week-to-week storytelling. That's silly. If you like FTR, here they were. If you like, Blackpool Combat Club, here a couple of them were. So you can enjoy that on its own surface level. You can enjoy the 20 minutes of action. You cannot enjoy anything surrounding it because it will not make sense. It might be continued way too long. It might be dropped way too early. There's just no telling anymore. But that's a long way to say I can't make it make sense.
Well, Todd says, don't knock it, Wheeler. Don't knock Wheeler Yuta. Vet, he's a champion, don't you know?
I said he showed up with more abs. That's a compliment. He has more abs than wins as a member of Blackpool Combat Club. So there's that.
And he's the purest guy in ROH. That's why no one can touch
pure.
that belt.
Speaking of pure and top guys, but before we move on, did you notice the botch spot with FTR and Wheeler Yuta? Or Yudison, sorry.
Which one was it?
There was a spot where I think someone was trying to do a head scissors. I don't know if it was a flying head scissors. That's what Shivani was trying to explain. Where they were at the far left of the ropes. Both Dax Daxon and Cash Caxton were trying to do a double team move. They had Wheeler sort of between the rope and the other wrestler. I don't know what the hell they were trying to do, but this is what Shivani said. But basically, they dropped Yuta. They just dropped him instead of trying to do the move. And I thought, oh, God, that looks so bad.
Best tag team in the world. The best tag team in the world.
Top guys out. Come on, man.
Hey, and guess what? Nothing can ever be as bad as the spot that, that Hurricane Rana that the Butcher took from Penta on Rampage. Like, after that, anybody's got a free pass for everything.
Man, when Hurricane Ranas aren't done right, they look so bad. Like, it's just yuck. That's why that move, you better know how to do it properly. Because it really, you got to know how to do the timing. It's just all about the timing. A lot of wrestlers don't have the timing down pat, especially the bigger ones, when pulling that move off. So why even bother trying to do it in the first place?
For that moment where AEW were the best artists.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So Lexi is backstage with Kyle, and he's trying to do a nice little promo, and then he's interrupted by the Underground Kings
Kyle!
or whatever. Who is
Underground
it?
Kings.
What are their UK, United Kingdom?
Undisputed Kingdom.
Undisputed Kingdom, right? Those guys. They come in. I think we can all we could just move on from this, right? We don't.
This
have
was a
anything to say
bad.
about
Nah,
this.
yeah. Nothing to say that.
And then we get Statlander with Stokely versus Robyn Renegade. So she's the, I guess, uninjured twin. I don't know. I haven't seen.
I'm disappointed with this.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
I looked away for 1 second, boys, and the match was over after that.
Match was over.
That was literally it.
Post-match promo was much longer, but it's essentially Stokely saying that Statlander is going to enter the Owen Hart tournament. So, my a la carte menu. One Stokely Hathaway, please. Okay, here it was, and that's delicious. But other than that,
Delicious.
I don't care.
And, I don't watch ROH, but I do remember a while ago Stokely Hathaway was like the authority figure for ROH. Doesn't that take away his time by representing Kris Statlander? Doesn't he have a company to run? Doesn't he have a brand to make matches? But now he's so out. He's so blindsided by Kris Statlander. I'm just saying, again. Did he lose it? Did he lose his authority?
I think
in
so.
a match?
I think they moved away. I think they moved away from that. It was a thing where it was like him, Tony Khan, and like a third person I forget, and they were all like sharing responsibilities, and it was supposed to be like comedic.
Jerry Lynn. I forgot it was Jerry Lynn.
Yeah, Jerry Lynn. So it was like, hey, look at a little funny haha, backstage, skits and stuff like that, but. It was all Stokely doing all the heavy lifting on that, and they decided, you know what, you can move on to bigger, better things, I guess. So
you can look at it. You can look at this before we get to the next segment. Because Jimmy was a little bit despondent with Robyn Renegade's lack of timing. So we know that either Robyn Renegade is not fully all elite, so they can invest in Robyn Renegade. Because again, people are going to say, AEW has the best women's division in North America. I've heard this a lot of times. But the problem is AEW focuses on about 4 women on a weekly basis. But then you got about 40 other women that are just lost in the sauce. Not hot sauce, Tracy Williams sauce, but lost in the sauce.
They're definitely lost in the sauce. But I will give him this. I think Statlander does come across better nowadays a little bit. I'm starting to dig her a little, and I've never been the biggest fan of hers, but they've got something. See, I think WWE would love someone like Statlander in their company because they can still mold her. I still think she's very green, but she's got a lot of potential.
Jimmy, I'm gonna mess you up. Squint your eyes right now when you look at Kris Statlander. That's Natalia. It's the same shit.
Oh no! Don't say that.
Natalia.
I prefer Statlander any day over Natalia in terms of looks, but don't ruin it for me, bro.
Squint your eyes, it's Natalia. We got the same thing. Great wrestling in-ring action, but it's the same thing.
Jesus Christ. Well, there was something I was meant to point out with that, but now I've forgotten. Doesn't matter.
Well, speaking of the women's division, Lexi's backstage again. She's very intrepid tonight. She's making sure she's at all the right places, and Willow arrives. And then she asks about her thoughts, and she says, about Statlander entering the Owen. She's like, well, as the winner of last year's Owen, I will also be entering the Owen.
Ooh.
And then she's like, well, what are you doing here? And instead of Willow just saying, bitch, I work here, she says, I'm just going to keep an eye on things. So, all right. Coy. Very nice.
For semantics, guys, why does Willow have to put herself in the Owen Hart? She won it. She's the current reigning defending Owen Hart Cup champion. So she doesn't need to say, I'm going to put myself in. I have to defend my title. Right. I'm just saying, I know, Todd, it's AEW, but again, it's clarity. It's just clarity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And is that a thing that gets defended? Do if the Kansas City Chiefs go back to the Super Bowl, are they defending that? Or are they trying to win another one? That's the thing. Like they again, unclear, not important really. We just know that they did like carrying those belts around for like maybe a week or two after they won them, and then poof.
Those pink ones.
That's the cool pink ones.
Poof indeed, poof indeed.
All right. Well, that brings us to our next match, which is Dustin Rhodes versus Johnny TV. A lot of making out in this match. That's part of the appeal. Ty has been in some pretty decent shape recently.
She's wearing that fucking what's it called when it sucks in your stomach, a corset or something like that.
Well, yeah, but she was. I mean, that doesn't affect her arms though. Like her arms are less flabby than they have been.
Yeah, I don't find her fat. Let me just put it out there. I actually like her build.
Yeah, I'm just saying she's doing back when she was in the company that definitely would have probably thought she looked more like a cow. That she could have thought about doing that then, but
the OG
then again, maybe it
Frankie
wouldn't have mattered anyway, right? So
remember Frankie Monet? Anyway, corset. Thank you, Todd. That's what it's called. Whatever it is.
Monet.
Money.
Well, anyway, she gets ejected for making out too much, and then and I thought, here's where Johnny TV comes in at the last second and gets a dastardly steals a win, but no, Dustin just beats him, and that's because once he started cutting the promo on Jack Perry, that's when I realized, this is why we trot Dustin out to give him a quality win over somebody right before he's supposed to have a match that he's supposed to put somebody over. So we saw this happen last time. Yeah, didn't he do this last time? Like we saw him, he beat somebody so he could lose to somebody. And some of this promo sounded awfully familiar, guys. Like awfully familiar. Goldust? No, try his own dad.
Well, he did a Goldust spot too, though.
I mean, fair enough, but
he was trying for Hard Times 2024. he was really trying for that one.
Do they still give gold watches in 2024? Do people wear watches in 20? He should have said they give you an Apple Watch and kick you out the door. That's what he should have said. But yeah,
you get replaced by AI. You get replaced by AI now. Not that's the way it's supposed to be. You got to update. You got to update Hard Times. Yes, Apple Watches and it. Yes. Apple Watch is an AI. It has to be updated.
You're welcome, guys. You're welcome. Anyways, Jack Perry, apparently. Oh, man, look out, Jack. Dustin's coming for you. He's going to get you, Jack. All right. Anyway, Jimmy.
Gold dust.
Got it.
When he said, no. The part that strikes me as gold dust is when he's like, you're going to remember the name. Gold dust. He would have done that technically, but he didn't. He done Dustin Rhodes instead, which made me laugh. But whatever. Am I excited? No. Do I care? No. So cool, I guess, for Dustin, doing something, but he's gonna lose anyway. But like Josh said in the chat, he's surprised that the AEW didn't use Shane Taylor against Dustin Rhodes. He's kind of got a point.
I thought that was the person he beat last time.
You want to bury Shane Taylor? You want to really bury Shane Taylor? Come on.
But look, let's be honest. It was all right. The match, it was kind of all right. It's Dustin. What can you say? He's 60 years old. He's the future.
This would have been, we would have seen this match on WWE Superstars in 2015.
100%. 100%. Or maybe even Shotgun Saturday Night 97.
Definitely main event. Definitely speed right now that's going on.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Oh, well, who cares?
Yeah. Anything to add, Professor, on this one?
Again, a couple of weeks ago, Dustin Rhodes had an eloquent, he had a hard-fought match just to get to a match with Samoa Joe when he was the champion. So, again, history repeats itself, except you just, you tweak it, you erase certain things, and then you say, well, Jack Perry's going to be the anointed TNT champion, and then he beat up his boss and all that stuff. So, again, Hard Times 2024, you just, put the white out in there, and then you just add some new names. Plagiarism really works. Plagiarism works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's your dad, so no one can say nothing.
Exactly.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you this first, Professor, and then Jimmy too. But if they had just, when they tried to give the belt to Jack, if they just gave the belt to Jack, and that's it, wouldn't that have been much more? Wouldn't that have been better? Wouldn't that have been more heat? Wouldn't people really want to see? Like, they would be much more invested in this match because, as you mentioned, he already did this once. I'm pretty sure he did beat Shane Taylor to get to Samoa Joe. And then Samoa Joe was the champion at the time. So there was a reason that Dustin Rhodes wanted that match. So here, if this was a similar situation, now he's got even more motivation because of his, like, you just handed this kid a belt? Like, I had to, like, all of his promo would have made more sense if Jack had been awarded something he didn't deserve and he felt like he needed to step up. Like, normally I just stay in the background and I'm an old man and none of you come to me for advice. But when I see something like this, I can't sit back anymore and yada, 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 and all the same stuff. But it means a lot more now because this kid has a belt that he didn't win. Right. So isn't that better?
Tony Khan, I know you're watching. Why haven't you hired Vet in the writing team? Because he just made sense right there. But I will answer Vet's question. I will answer Vet's question as a fan because AEW has this curse. They got too many quote unquote good people on the roster. Too many people that are lost in the sauce. I should put a shirt out there. Lost in the sauce. But
soon to be Ricochet.
Yeah. But there's just too many people. So you got to give them a reason. So that's why the TNT, the logic of the EVPs giving the belt to Jack Perry made all the sense of the world to get all the heat and then just show that power struggle between the Elite and Tony Khan, and where Tony Khan could just feed Jack Perry opponents as the TNT champion. Dustin Rhodes would have been somebody. You could have had Action Andretti as somebody. You could have fed even Ricochet coming in as somebody, as a secret opponent, RVD and all this stuff. But they just don't want to do that because they want to give reason. They don't want to make you, watch Collision and Dynamite for these another tournament, because Tony Khan is just addicted to tournaments because that's what he loves. He's a coked out man for tournaments. He just needed a reason for it. It's another tournament. You got two tournaments going on right now. You got the Old Hard Cup tournament, and now you got the TNT. You got to crown the TNT champion. Then don't forget after All In, there's going to be an eliminator tournament to get to Revolution, and then there's going to be the Continental Classic. Mm-hmm. You blink your eyes, it's just another tournament that's going to happen in AEW.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, while we're waiting for new tournaments to happen, we have to just sit here with all these tournamentless matches that we just have to sit through. It's just horrible. Jimmy, did you ever go back and watch that Dynamite I told you to?
No, actually I didn't. Okay. I forgot about it.
Well, that was the episode where they tried to award the TNT championship to Jack Perry, and
really?
The boos in that building were just like, like everybody was super mad instantly as soon as they realized that they just might give him the belt, right? And that's when I knew it's like, yes, please do it. But then I thought, wait, they're probably going to have, they're probably going to reverse this, and they end up doing it. So it was kind of lame, but I just think that would have added a lot more to anything going forward, even if this Dustin Rhodes thing never happened. It's neither here nor there. Just the fact that he carries that thing around, and it's just something different than a tournament. So it just would have been cool.
I agree. I would have preferred they just give it to him also. I mean, it would generate a lot more heat for Jack Perry. You know what I mean?
And the EVPs get away with whatever they want anyways. So
right, they do whatever the fuck they want. So yeah, what's the difference? I mean, they made an example with the very first matchup of Collision, using their power, the EVP power.
Right.
So why not do the same thing with Jack Perry? But unfortunately, they don't have a vision, Vet. They just don't. They don't know. They just don't know what to do.
Well, they had Christopher Daniels come out and say, "Hey, we're not doing that," and then that's what happened there. So we could have had Chris Daniels come out and tell Brandon Cutler, "Yeah, we are doing 5 more minutes." I mean, if now you set the precedent. Now Christopher Daniels has to come out and undo everything the EVPs do. Otherwise, why ever do it? It's either in for a penny, in for a pound. So that's just what I think. But
they should have done a Triple H. Yeah.
Speaking of pounds, the Zack Sabre Jr., from England, they got a package on him.
Nice.
I guess he's taking on Orange Cassidy at Forbidden Door. I'm sure Zach is delighted. I'm sure that's exactly who he wanted to work, but nonetheless, that's what's happening.
There's a reason for this match because there's a storyline. I had to hear this from New Japan side for this reason because he doesn't like orange even having that color for some reason. Orange. You got to get rid of the because TDMK.
Yeah.
Always wears orange.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So he must defeat Orange Cassidy because he just doesn't like the name Orange in his name. He wants to get rid of the orange. That's storytelling.
That's a pretty good storyline, actually.
That's beautiful storytelling.
That's a great storyline.
Black and orange.
Awesome storytelling, right?
As Wiz Khalifa almost said, black and orange.
Black and yellow? Oh, yeah, black and orange, right.
Then we had the Premier Athletes came out and they had they quickly dispatched Dory Funk and S.A. Rios, I think is what the announcer said. That's who those guys were. I couldn't tell the difference. It was so fast. Like it was a blur. So I couldn't see if that really was Dory and S.A., but they're out of there.
Was Lita there?
Perhaps.
Oh, damn.
Again, very fast. Extremely fast.
She botched the moonsault. She botched the moonsault.
Yeah. Oh man.
Then we had a Scorpio Sky promo. I would say # turn off the lights because this definitely looked like it took place in Impact Wrestling. So there you go.
I'll say this, Vet. I mean, if you agree with this, but the one positive of the NXT Performance Center is, well, I guess during the Dusty Rhodes days was those promo classes. When I saw Scorpio Sky do this, if this was that NXT promo class, Vet, what grade would you give it?
If I just gave this Raw, it's got to be no better than a C-. I think though, the reason, because he's doing like a facetious self-motivation, like a motivational guru type of gimmick. So that may explain why he's talking like that somewhat. And if he's doing that, I could bump it up to maybe a B. But if this was just a promo, just for a promo's sake, what are you doing?
Yeah. And I don't know if he's trying to be the voice of the voiceless, the righteous person of AEW, trying to.
We already have some of those.
We already have those. Right.
Yeah, you need a hero. You just doing. It's a copier. It's the AEW copier machine. That's what it is. With everybody doing sometimes the same gimmick.
Yeah, he's doing a Tony Robbins type. Like, is there even more modern equivalent? Like, can we update Tony Robbins to like the Apple Watch and AI of motivational speakers? Like, who would be today's foremost motivational speaker?
Ever since you brought up Tony Robbins, he's been appearing on my television suddenly, bro, and on YouTube.
Joel
What the hell?
I never said Tony Robbins before. Next we have Toni Storm versus Lady Frost. It was a match. They had a match. I always like seeing Toni out there, a la carte. Beautiful.
Right. That's the only
young lady who's good at wrestling. I will accept that, even though I have to suffer this gimmick. But she's working on it, so I gotta respect the efforts and the passion. And
I think her gimmick is so over praised, dudes. Like at this point, in my opinion. I just think because everything's so bad, right? And credit to her, but I think people think too highly of this gimmick. I mean, really, what's the end game with this gimmick, man? Like when you think about it, I don't think they even know what the end game is. Really, they wouldn't. There's no chance they would.
The end game is not the gimmick, Jimmy. The end game is her against Mariah May. That's the story that's been.
Oh well, yeah. I know that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the gimmick itself. You know what I mean?
I mean, but again, within the gimmick, Mariah May, what kind? You could do a slasher movie gimmick where she's betraying Toni Storm. You could do Alfred Hitchcock or something like that. The bathroom window or something like that. But you can do a lot of stuff. You can't do Dawn of the Dead with it. It will make no sense. She ain't gonna bite her. But
that's why they will do it.
But again, the gimmick and Mariah May, betraying her is kind of like the payoff itself. So it's not like that Toni Storm is gonna find herself being, naturally what she is. I mean, this gimmick has been, it's organic for her because she's putting the effort into that gimmick. You can say that she created this gimmick.
That, yeah.
She's perfecting the gimmick. She's crafting the gimmick, and she's trying to like keep the gimmick as good as it can be. And of course, there's a shelf life to the gimmick. We understand that. So I don't know how long it's got, Jimmy. So but it all coincides with Mariah May. So that's why the gimmick will still last as long as Mariah May is by her side.
Yeah, whatever. I mean,
maybe Mariah May will concuss her back out of it.
Hopefully. Or she wakes up like Shark Boy did and becomes Steve Austin. Why not? I mean, might as well.
Here's the great way for the gimmick to stop, because then Mariah, you remember They Live with Roddy Piper? Mariah May gets these glasses, and when she looks at Toni Storm, she sees obey, she sees conform, and then once she takes the glasses off, she's like, I don't see it. But then when she puts the glasses back on, it's like, obey, you're my bitch, and then she fights them off.
And it's in black and white. Too creative. Yeah, true. But you're being way too creative now for AEW now, Prof. Come on. Don't talk logic.
Free stuff.
No, I won't stop it, Zane. I won't. All right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, business moving forward. Toni basically demands that Mariah May be added to the Owen Hart tournament. So, because she loves Mariah May. So,
of course.
So there we go. She's in. That's all it takes. Toni Storm says she's in. She's in. That's it.
She's in.
What the champ says goes.
Absolutely.
All right. Lexi is with Shane Taylor Promotions and Top Action. Luckily for us,
hate that name, bro.
They have agreed to no physicality here for this random promo in the middle of a random collision. I'm so glad that they probably signed a contract that Brandon Cutler has, the notarized contract that they said no physicality. Even though at the end there, when the words got a little heated, I could tell they wanted to be some physicality from the baby faces, but they couldn't do it. So, but yeah. So the important thing is that I got Shane Taylor on my television and he wasn't looking up at the lights. So that's a plus for me. That's a plus in the win column for me. So I'll take it. No physicality.
Technically, he was looking at the lights. He was looking at the camera red light, for his cues.
Oh. Okay, yeah, now the ceiling words though. He wasn't getting the 3-second tan, as John Cena's theme song would say. So yeah, so that was good. Jimmy, I'm sure you agree. You don't like to see Shane Taylor, laying on his back, being pinned by Orange Cassidy or Dustin Rhodes or whoever, right?
Oh, absolutely not. But it's AEW, so what do you do?
Yeah. No physicality. I mean? For once, no physicality.
For once, and I was happy. That was a great decision. With AEW making that decision.
Yeah, no flamethrowers, guys. Come on.
None of that. I was happy.
No shoes with tacks on them.
Top Action to me sounds like a friggin' like a movie genre to me, like Top Action. Like I hate this stupid name.
Just to be fair, Jimmy, I made that name up. That's one of my names.
Oh yeah, true. What is the actual name? Yeah, what is the name? I'm used to Top Action.
Well, they just call it Top Flight and Action Andretti.
Oh yeah,
that's the uncreative name they came up with.
Is that it? Oh, see, I fell for it. I started believing it was Top Action.
I believe Top Action because it made sense with Action and Dre.
Me too. No shit. I fell for, even though I've heard him say it all the time, I got used to it. So it's like, yeah, Top Action.
Well, I've been saying that for months now. Check the tapes, and that way, if they ever do start calling them that, like everyone will have the evidence, and all the Hami Media Group on channelattitude.com, they'll be able to say, "Hey, send Vet a royalty check."
Mind you, it's not the first time.
As for Professor asking why does Tony Khan not hire this, it's because all his emails go right in my spam folder, which gets deleted after a certain period of time. So I probably that's what it is. Yeah. But he's definitely gonna. I like this one though. I would definitely like to take credit for this. It's Samoa Joe and Hook, and presumably Shibata on the camera. Because we can hear, as Joe calls him, hey, speak and spell. So we can hear his thing saying, don't worry, I got this. So they go into the locker room where the premier athletes are, I guess, getting dressed after their match. And then they beat the shit out of those guys. and Mark Sterling is like on the floor peeing his pants or whatever, and Joe's like, "We did this," And on the way, I forgot to mention, on the way there, as they're walking towards the locker room, they have a brief discussion about the history of lacrosse in America. So that's also very enlightening. So it was entertaining, enlightening. I give this segment 9 3/4 stars. Couldn't ask for more. Joe, Hook, and a beating for the premier athletes. It's like it was written just for me. What about you, Professor? was this delicious or not?
This is a great example of going to a restaurant with the grade pending, because what's the payoff? Because we already saw the payoff before a match ever even took place. So isn't this reverse booking?
It's booking, nevertheless, Prof. So just be happy.
It is booking, nevertheless. But the payoff already happened. Why would I need the match?
My answer is maybe, because if this is the payoff, now Joe and Hook can just move on to the next thing and not even worry about this. It's like, okay, because the reason this happened is because I guess the premier athletes stepped to them earlier, and Hook wanted to go at him right then. What show was that? Was that on Dynamite when they came up to him? They walked up on him anyway, and Hook wanted to go at him, and Joe was like, no. We do this on our time. And our time apparently was Saturday night on Collision. So they waited until these guys had been totally weakened from that competitive match they had. I mean, Dory Funk is an all-time legend. S.A. Rios, a deadly high flyer, took a lot out of the premier athletes, so they were ripe for the pickings. The guys went in there, had a quick little lacrosse discussion, beat the shit out of them, and now we're done with that piece of business. There doesn't need to be a match now. If AEW goes ahead and books a match, then yes, Professor, they have fucked it up. However, if this is the end of it, and now Joe and Hook are like, okay, lesson number 2, and go on to a different group of douchebags. If they take out douchebags as a weekly recurring gimmick, I would not mind that. They can go from here. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now. That's why rating pending, right? So we'll see what grade this, as we check for cockroaches, we will see what rating these guys will get. Right now, I like the look of it.
Well, before we move on, Zane with the comment of the night says, that's the company of Tony buys TNA. Top flight action. That's a great comment. Nice one, Zane. Nice one. Also, Josh says, Professor got questions and the vet has the answers.
It's the ultimate team.
Yeah.
One more thing. If there's a tag team Continental Classic, we should enter, Professor. I think you and I. Yeah.
Also, Toni Storm, 3rd year in a row.
Because again, that too.
No,
let me just say this for the segment. I think to do the segment, Vet, and I'll look at it from this standpoint. Yes, I'm being trollish. Again, that's the payoff. It happened so quickly. But I think what I see is they're trying to protect Hook, because now the shortcomings inside the ring, maybe it's being exposed a little bit too much now. So now with another mentor with Samoa Joe, but to do the shit outside, like, as Vet is saying, if they beat up the jabronis in the locker rooms and be the bullies of the locker rooms, you're protecting Hook's shortcomings in the ring. And then you'd be like, damn, maybe I want to see Hook in the ring with Samoa Joe as a tag team. But then you kind of milk it when it matters the most. That's the way I assess that.
Mm-hmm.
What would they call them, do you think, if they're a tag team? The Hook Joes? I mean, seriously. They all come up with something stupid like that. Hey,
top action apparently hasn't been taken yet. Just call them top action.
Top action.
Top action Hook. Samoan. No, Hook of Samoans.
Yeah, Hook of Samoans. Yeah, all that. From the Isle of Samoans. Not Samoa.
I think right now this is the best thing. If we could have completely deleted the whole Jericho part of the saga and had just gone
the learning tree.
Yeah, had just gone straight to this, right after, their initial meeting with each other for the belt or whatever, that would have been good. What about you, Jimmy? Did you like premier athletes getting beaten up? Did you enjoy that? Or
anything that beats up those clowns? Absolutely. Especially with Joe and Hook. I'm down.
Right. Okay. Well, what about Daniel Garcia, another non-main event. So we're on the right track now. We're finally got him where he belongs on the card, which is anywhere except last. And he's taking on a guy named Tate Mayfairs. And as soon as I heard that name, I was like, oh, fuck you, Tate Mayfairs. What kind of fucking bullshit, stupid name is? Get the fuck out of here. No one will
like
ever
Monopoly.
get over being named Tate Mayfairs. Can you see that?
Where was the graphic for Tate Mayfairs being all elite? I want that graphic.
We
that
never got
I
it.
will pop for that. We need that.
Man, we were robbed.
Jeez.
We were robbed. But yeah, apparently he's from England too. Apparently he's been a Rev Pro. Apparently he went 30 minutes Will Ospreay, which that means that this was not an ideal promotion for him. Because Daniel Garcia dispatched him relatively quickly and easily. So I guess that means Daniel Garcia should just smash over Will Ospreay and take that belt off him, right? No problem.
Slaughter him. Dance him to death, if anything. You know what I mean? Shit, it's true.
I hate to be that guy again, but remember, I know Todd is because it's AEW, but remember when Daniel Garcia was sniffing that TNT title against Christian and the patriarchy, and then all of a sudden he just kind of like forgets that he has amnesia, and now he sets his sights on Will. He's setting his sights on Will Ospreay. He's not setting his sights on Shane, but I just remember how so close he was tasting that TNT title. He doesn't want it. I know he's gonna, eventually be in a qualifying match for the TNT title, maybe next
doesn't
week.
Want it.
Or it just feels like he doesn't want it. He just keeps wanting to dance. I'm just saying. Again, I know he
has that itch, prof.
He has. I don't know if it's jock itch, but he has an itch. Yes, but again, I hate to be that guy, Vid. I'm just trying to remember. I'm remembering things. How am I supposed to be invested right now in this day against Tate Mayfair? Again, I understand momentum. It's about momentum. It's about momentum. I got that part. But what the hell, man? What the hell?
Momentum.
It's not a bad question. It's not a bad question.
It's not. As a matter of fact, you know what disturbs me about Garcia, though? When he comes out, and he's got the Titantron, the video, whatever's playing. What's with the kaleidoscope 1960s rainbows while he's dancing in the background? Like, what is this?
Apparently, it's a Buffalo thing.
What are you implying?
I don't know. I'm not from Buffalo. I'm just saying it's a Buffalo thing.
It's still New York, though.
Yeah, you're closer to it than we are.
That's about 8 hours away from. That's 8 hours away from. I have no affiliation with that.
All right.
I'm sure Ben Hameen has passed by Buffalo a time or two, so he can answer that question more than I could.
All right. Somebody in the chat, go ahead and ask Ben Hameen what is the kaleidoscope Buffalo connection next time he does Light the Fuse.
Please do it. Yeah. I'm begging you. That'd be funny.
So anyway, in case it wasn't clear, Daniel Garcia hits the Red Cross, which looks like it's going to start to be like an Impaler DDT, and then he just drops him like across his knee on the throat. So it's pretty cool, I guess. Isn't that what Taiji Shimori does too? Doesn't he do that? The Bloody Cross or something like that?
Something like that. But is
something
that
like
his finisher?
Whatever. Yeah, who cares? Doesn't matter. You know what does matter? We get a package again for Zeuxis, I guess. If I'm saying that. Zuhis. I don't know what is this?
Bless you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's allergy season. Yeah, I couldn't tell you too much. We need this package because I couldn't tell you too much about Zeuxis. She's I did know I have seen her. I have seen her at least in probably one match, maybe, because she's tag team partners with Stephanie Vaquer.
Oh, I thought she was
who is definitely on my menu. In fact, I want all of that in my mouth right now. But regardless,
I don't need a grade pending for that too. I just go.
That is grade S+ meat. So yeah, but yeah, so I've seen Zeus's before at least a little bit. But
Zeus's?
Yeah, Zeus's. So she's gonna have to she's gonna have to face Money on Wednesday.
Ooh. Yeah, pal.
So there you go. So now, Jimmy, you already know you were my witness that I've been talking up Stephanie for a while before she even appeared, and now she's here. So prophetic as I
did.
am, watch for big things. I'll also point out that 5 years ago, well, was it 5 years ago? Maybe, yeah, about 5 years ago, I was telling people, hey, watch MJF, look at him now. I was telling people, hey, watch this fat German guy named Walter, look at him now. So I'm telling you guys now, Stephanie, write it down. Just telling you now so that you can say I told you.
Write it down now, Stephanie.
Yeah, write that down. Professor, any thoughts on Stephanie? I mean, we seem to agree that we perhaps don't need a pending grade for this, but
we don't need
anything to add?
I mean, again, is she being fed to Mercedes money? That's the
money.
Because again, you look at it from that standpoint. Again, I understand Mercedes Moné is going to be there for the long haul. I don't know about Stephanie, but if you're going to build the AEW women's division around Moné, well, first of all, the problem is the TBS championship is not the pillar. It's the AEW World Women's Championship. So she's got the wrong belt to be, to build around. But again, that's semantics. That's logistics for me. But if you're feeding her, like you fed her Willow for the TBS title, you're going to feed her Stephanie for the New Japan Strong title. So I get it. You want to build this, this street cred for Moné to have all these belts. She's the belt collector. You see it coming. She's going to be the belt collector if she's going to get all these belts. So within Forbidden Door. So I get it. But again, I understand where the talent scout of Vet is right there. Yes, maybe 5 years from now, Stephanie's going to be good and a bigger star. But right now, she's just going to be fed to the masses of Mercedes Moné.
I wish I was Mercedes. But in saying that,
did you do the QR code, Vet?
Oh no, I didn't.
What about you, Jimmy? I mean,
I didn't, unfortunately.
Who did the QR code? I want to know what the prizes are. I'm not a Moné fan. I just want to know what's the prizes.
We'll just have to look it up. But there's probably several Reddit threads.
Or is it plagiaristic Uncle Howdy codes in the Mercedes Moné codes? That
could it be
interesting?
Could it be?
Could be.
Good.
The thing about the feeding part is basically the way it works out is, could it also be a little bit of the New Japan Strong Women's title kind of has a history because it was probably supposed to go to Mercedes in the first place and she broke her foot in that match. And who did she face to get to the Willow Nightingale match?
Stephanie.
Right. So there's already a history there. So Mercedes knows, like, okay, I can work with her. Comfortable with that. We've done it before. Let's get this thing going. And New Japan, it's their belt. And if they had wanted it to be on her, this is the time to get it. So it may not even be necessarily feeding. It could just be time. So that's also good, but she's getting that exposure that she was never going to get, because very few people watch internationally. Very few people comparatively watch New Japan Pro Wrestling to any sort of degree, especially the strong division, especially the strong women's division. And then even less than that, I would have to say, would be international watchers of CMLL and then CMLL women and so on and so forth. So this is going to be the biggest stage she's ever been on Forbidden Door. And that's great, because sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes you just have to, people just won't look unless you're in a certain light. If you're off here in the shadows or in the corner, their head's not even going to turn that way. They're just going to keep looking directly ahead. So until you walk in their path, and then somebody at WWE or whatever says, "Oh my God, where's she been all my life?" and then you sign her. This could be step one of that. So that's what I'm excited about. And I can't wait for Forbidden Door. I wish I was watching it right now. Well, not really. I love hanging out with you gentlemen.
Yeah.
I wish I could watch it with you gentlemen right now. Let's stop the show and watch Forbidden Door. Okay. You got the time machine, Professor, or does it only go backward?
It only goes backwards. I can't go forward.
All right. Well, fair enough.
God damn it.
We got Lexi Nair with Orange Cassidy. He does a rather sincere promo about how shit's been going bad for him. And then we got our main event of the evening, Orange Cassidy versus Kyle O'Reilly. So, I kind of wish I had a time machine now, but not to go back. I'm glad I'm past this for a few reasons. But before I say anything, I guess I'll throw it to Professor first. Whatever you want to say about this nice main event they gave us, the floor is yours.
I think it's like I said earlier in the show, guys. Like Tony Khan has his guy. For some strange reason, for the last 5 years or 4 years, I'll be fair here. Orange Cassidy is Tony Khan's guy. He dresses as Tony Khan for Halloween. He parties with Orange Cassidy. So he's put Orange Cassidy in the highest of lights. So I'm not surprised about that. Yeah. And it's funny because as generic of a gimmick as Orange Cassidy is, I'm not going to disrespect his athletic abilities. Again, he did his thing in Jakara and all that stuff. So I know he was under a mask. So this is his best gimmick for the thing, but it's just so plain and boring to me that I've never taken Orange Cassidy so seriously because again, I'm not invested with the I don't give a fuck attitude. It's just so boring. Even being betrayed by your best friend, even being betrayed by Kris Statlander, for me, the projection is, what can you do? People just betray you. Okay, I don't feel sorry for you. You just look like you're stupid. Yeah, you deserve to be betrayed. You deserve to have no friends. With the I don't give a damn attitude. As far as the match, again, AEW were the best wrestle. That's a catchphrase, right? So, It is what it is. And you look at Kyle O'Reilly, and again, he's coming in. I have to go back with my logic. He comes in, the problem with Kyle O'Reilly, coming back and Adam Cole being hurt, I guess it's because that logic and storyline needs to be played out better, but the pieces are not there because of Adam Cole's injury. So the United Kingdom is so handicapped with the three people that nobody cares about. Even with Roddy Strong as a comedic character as he is doing, it just doesn't matter. So if you put Adam Cole there, and where the hell is Wardlow? I haven't seen Wardlow in a couple of weeks, man. We need a Wardlow signing, for all that. But again, the match was not even about Orange Cassidy against Kyle O'Reilly, even though they were both in that international kind of title picture. It was just about Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta, Kris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, and Kyle O'Reilly just felt like an afterthought because, again, that story between Kyle O'Reilly and, the United Kingdom or NXT UK is just an afterthought. That's just the way I look at it.
You're right, but they got to give us a main event.
Yes.
So we got 20 minutes of hot action, right? No time limit. But I will say that the thing is, Orange Cassidy wins with the orange punch, and I don't really see the need to beat Kyle O'Reilly here, especially if you're going to have these people do a run-in anyways. Why not do the run-in before the decision so that neither one of these guys has to take an L? Is what I would ask.
It'd be best to protect them both like that with a squash or a dusty finish, whatever you want to call it. But to enhance storylines, you could do multiple enhancing of storylines without the supposedly wrestling, finish. They don't do that.
Yeah.
They just
and all you had to do, and you didn't even have to do this, but just as an extra layer, both these guys had a promo backstage. So each one of the guys could have said something derogatory about the, United Kingdom, NXT UK. They could have just said each one thing. And then that's like the catalyst for them going out there and be like, well, fuck you. You ain't going to talk shit. We're going to kick both your asses. And then we throw the whole match out. But to have the guy that's, you look at Kyle O'Reilly, his only gimmick is he's a combat specialist and he's losing to the guy with the hands in his pockets to striking. That's a bad look. And it basically lets you know where you're at in the company right there. Jimmy, would you agree with that?
I do agree. And like I was telling you earlier, my feet started playing up, so I didn't get to see the match properly. But I totally agree with what you said. And did I really miss out on that much? Honestly, the fact that my feet
the body of the match, they worked hard and had a nice match. But, and with Orange's gimmicks, like there was a spot where like Kyle O'Reilly was trying to get like some hold on him, and Orange Cassidy would normally put his hand in his pocket to keep his arm from getting hooked, but Kyle O'Reilly put his hand in Orange pockets to block the block. So the announcers were trying to get that over, which is kind of comedic, but I'll give him credit. It was creative. Stuff like that. Like they had some stuff they were able to play with, and the guys can both go. But I think, as the professor pointed out, because the win and the loss of this is not nearly as important to them as the angle they want to do moving forward, they shouldn't have made it about like a win or a loss. They should have thrown the thing out. That's the main point. So that's my takeaway.
Look, what are they doing with Kyle O'Reilly at this point? Honestly, like, what do they want to do with him at this point?
No, it's like I said, Jimmy. The pieces are not there for the storyline that they want to do, or Tony.
Right, and that's my point.
Because of Adam Cole being injured, and then NXT UK is not fully functional right now. It's just three guys, two dweebs and Roddy Strong, just going on TV back and forth. It just doesn't, nobody respects.
And to your point about Adam Cole, he had more TV time before he even had ankle surgery or foot surgery or whatever. And now that he's, recovering enough to walk, he can't be on TV at all. Can't even send in a video.
No, because they're being consistent because MJF took him out off of TV, so it just makes all the sense in the world. But what was the point? But what was the point of bringing, having, if he's still injured, and I don't know,
if that was a match, he would have kicked out on one. But because it was a non-match, he gets to be off TV for another 6 months.
It's disgraceful, in my opinion. Exactly. Why even bring him in the first place? Bring him back, in the first place, if he's not going to be around anyway. You know what I mean? How serious is Cole's injury at this point, boys? I mean, it's got to be pretty bad for him to still not be able to wrestle. I mean, but how bad is it really? Does anyone have any idea?
It's bad
Maybe
enough.
He's updating on his Twitch stream like Kenny Omega does, and nobody's watching it.
I'm not watching, that's for sure.
It's just bad enough. It's just bad. It's just bad enough where MJF took him out at the pay-per-view at Double or Nothing. So that's why they're like, oh, he's out right now again. So it works out for that storyline purpose. It just doesn't make sense. Intriguing. I know, and Todd will probably say because of AEW. And Jimmy, let me just say this. Hopefully you got I'm connected good. I'm trying my best right now. But for the match in itself. Cool. And this is the same thing with Orange Cassidy. Again, this is why I don't really take him seriously, because like the vet said while he was away, Jimmy, that spot that he did with his pockets, again, this is amazing.
Oh, I heard that.
I understand about him being the, one of your pillars and your main event players. But again, he's very comedic. And, I'm not saying that you can't do that in the main event scene, vet. I understand that. But again, it's very like if you're three-dimensional. I don't want to use The Rock as a good example because Rock has done shticks in the main event scenes, but yeah, it carries more weight in my opinion. I just don't see with Orange Cassidy. He's very like one-dimensional, but then like I said, it's more of a I don't give a fuck opinion. So Ben, what do you see what I'm saying, or am I wrong, or just like I'm nitpicky?
No, I agree with what you're saying. I agree with your philosophy behind it. I don't share it necessarily. I wouldn't have Orange Cassidy be. Orange Cassidy for me would be a situational, occasional main event guy. Like I can get one main event out of him every year and a half type deal, right? Part of that would be because that would feed into his gimmick. Well, I'm good enough to be here, but working hard to beat the best guys? I don't know. Maybe not that hard. I get paid the same. That kind of a thing. Like, but I would do a lot more to accentuate the character other than just have him, be a schlub all the time. Like I would get deeper into that personality to try to get people to try to crack him. Like I'd have everybody on the roster trying to interact with him and crack him. Is the short answer is they're just not doing enough to get you invested, and that's their fault. Maybe Orange has more ideas and they're just like, maybe another time.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. It's just, this is
right.
What's over.
And yeah, but there's ways to do this gimmick and make it more interesting. I think the appeal of the gimmick originally is that like for a guy that so obviously doesn't care, like what's going to happen when he has to have a match? And then when he finally had that match with Pac, like to me, that's one of the better matches AEW's ever put on, just because Orange was so impressive in that match in terms of like the perception of him as like, well, why would anybody care about this guy to like, oh wow, look what he can do. It's actually hard to wrestle with the hands.
But there was a difference because he wasn't wrestling. He was just
right,
doing
exactly.
Stick. And then when you saw it, it's like, oh shit, it was like, oh, but now he's wrestling, so he's got to accentuate a different gimmick, and personality. He's got to accentuate the personality.
Yeah, that's the part I agree with totally, because it's a challenging thing to carry forward. That's what Hook had to do, because he was much the same way. He's just in the background eating chips with a backpack. And then he had an amazing debut, and then they didn't know what to do after that. You plug in several names in AEW that have had this problem. They can debut, and then what? So, Orange Cassidy is one of those, but he's got a more complicated gimmick. So it really just comes down to thought process and creativity. They haven't done enough to keep you invested probably ever. Some of us invested for long. Some people just like him. They accept it for what it is.
There's a lot of people that do like him. That's true.
But even the people that like him, I'm sure they could like him even more. Again, it goes back to what I was saying about guys like Ricochet or people having a vision. It's like, even if you think you like somebody, even if you think you like what the Bloodline is doing right now, or what they were doing with Roman, or even if you think you like all that stuff, there were so many opportunities that a lot of us were seeing on the table that just got left. It could have been even better. And that's what everybody should, maybe not the fans, but certainly anybody that works and gets paid to be in the wrestling business should always be looking at what else can we do? But unfortunately, because everything is so political, because it's so cutthroat, because it's so ego driven, because many, 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 many reasons. And also, as Todd would say, because AEW, or because WWE, or because TNA, or anybody that has their own set of bullshit that they have to go, which is why I'm sitting here talking to you rather than be involved in all that shit, because I don't have time for it. Those are all things to take into account. But I don't blame anybody for being disenfranchised with the Orange Cassidy gimmick. I wouldn't argue with anybody. I can enjoy it for what it is, but I wouldn't defend it. So, here you just had an opportunity to put on a good match. That's what AEW thinks they can do when all else fails. We'll just put on a good match. Even if we fuck up the booking around it, we'll put on a good match, and that's what we had here.
Yeah, it was a typical AEW match anyway. Not that, like I said, I didn't see it, but it's funny. I'm seeing it in the background right now because it's just playing over and over and over again. And yeah, from what I see right now in the background, it looked like it dragged on for a while too.
Well, they had to kill 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
No draw. Like I said, no draw. We had a draw, but this one, I guess they got an extra. Maybe it was a 30-minute time limit on this contract. Who knows? They didn't make it clear as usual.
They didn't even say. They don't do that anymore. Have you noticed that?
They booked the draw at the wrong spot. They booked the draw in the beginning when they should have booked the draw at the end to save the two people that really mattered the most. Because if you're going to use Brandon Cutler in the first segment, like he was, could have done some kind of dusty thing there to mess up everything. Maybe WDQ or something like that. I don't want to go too logistic back then. I don't want to take the time machine right now back then, but I'm just trying to keep it current. But you could do the draw in the main event with all the variables of the NXT UK and of course.
Or draw in the first match, countdown in the second match, 5 minutes remain, 3 minutes, 1 minute, and then all of a sudden, here comes NXT UK, boom, 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 ding, 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 like everybody's DQ, throw it out, like you get the people thinking like, oh, are they going to do it twice? But that gets over the time limit. Sometimes it expires, sometimes it doesn't. It reinforces those booking ideas, and that is what people aren't doing. They're not creative enough in general or in specifics.
Actually, that brings up an idea now that you said that, Vet, that I just thought about. Do you think if they implemented an actual timer, so say the match is a 20-minute time limit, just say, and they got the 20 minutes counting down every match, whatever the time limit is, do you think they should implement something like that? I mean, it's different, right? At least
it's not different. It's not different. It's old. They just abandoned it.
where you see the timer though. I'm talking about not.
No, that's fine, and it doesn't have to be on. It doesn't have to be on the whole time, dude. Some of us are. I mean, I think everyone here, and maybe most of the people in the chat are old enough to remember, like when you would watch football. They didn't used to have the score and the clock on every single second of the screen. That was a Fox Sports thing that they implemented. If you used to watch those games back in the 80s and 90s before Fox got it, you'd have to wait till the commercial break to see what the score was. Why? Because they wanted you to watch the game and watch the,
and it's
they
smart,
wanted you to sit
really.
there and watch the channel, right? But regardless of that, like you would only see the clock at certain times. So even if you just did that, like, even if you just put it up every once in a while, or, as Cornette would explain, you have the announcers, 5 minutes gone, 15 minutes remaining. New Japan does that. Like, the announcer counts every 5 minutes whenever 5 minutes
He does.
Passed.
I was going to bring that up. They do that.
But they don't, like, every match in New Japan doesn't go to a draw. They just have the time limit, and then they don't go to it. They count it, but they don't go to it. And that's what you would do in a sporting event. Can you imagine if you just had like if you had like NBA, we're having a playoff game. It's Celtics versus Mavs, but guess what? The clocks are off tonight. It's first to 250 points, and anything goes. Barbed wire rims. Like what? Can you imagine if they treated real sports the way AEW treats their show? It'd be ridiculous. You'd be like, what the hell is this? Isn't my basketball. This isn't my NBA. So. If you want to have a real sports presentation, those are the things you got to do. You got to do things the sports do. It's not just saying like, oh, well, we have a tournament. That's not a sports presentation.
This was Tony Khan's action plan in 2019 before AEW existed, because that's what he was trying to talk about with the sports centric stuff. Hey, rankings came back and then rankings left. So
yeah, true.
Doing a timer countdown could be, it's a no-brainer to do a timer countdown, or to have the referees, the ring announcer say 5 minutes gone by, because, Tony Khan's a fan of professional wrestling. He watched NWA where they did that religiously. WWE never really did it religiously because they didn't. The bell rang after 30 minutes. They're like, oh shit. They wanted that because Vince McMahon just loved to piss fans off. And that was what I loved. They're like, damn, 30 minutes went by, because that's how great of a match was. You did not know that 30 minutes went by. That's how great a WWE match was back in the day. But then you got pissed off that we couldn't get the extra 5 minutes. NWA wanted the drama and all that stuff. 5 minutes gone by, or 5 minutes left, 3 minutes left, 90 seconds left, 20 seconds left. They wanted the drama. And then, like Vet says with New Japan, when they say 5 minutes gone by, 10 minutes, it just is more of a cadence for the rest to say, okay, this is where we need to like change it up or speed it up or do some certain things right there. So there is a reason to do the countdown. But again, Tony Khan, if he does it, he'll kind of abandon it maybe within 3 weeks. Like people will say on Twitter, Tony, where's the countdown? It was great. Let's use like Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly if they did the countdown. Tony, what happened? The countdown thing actually made the match even 10 times better because I was invested. You just got rid of it. You just abandoned it. And then Tony has to fight. Well, you're a troll. You're a WWE bot troll, being bought and paid for by, Vince Russo and Jim Cornette and all that, all the AEW haters and Conan and Disco Inferno. I don't care about you. The AEW fans love us, and we know, and they know what I do for them. So he abandons his own things that even would make sense.
Mm-hmm. Probably just because, if you put yourself into that rigid rule set and put yourself in that box, then anytime you have a booking idea that goes outside that box, you just want to abandon the boring old rules and then just do whatever you feel like. And that's probably what Vince McMahon did all those years ago. And that's what Tony does now. He has an idea until he actually has to do it. And then he's like, that's no fun. So to drop it.
That's what happens when you have too much money. You just have too much money. Right. I wish I could be that bored and that's like, disinterested. But when you have all that money, it just doesn't matter.
It sure doesn't. But that was our show. Oh yeah, by the way, all that beating and shit when they kicked when the NXT UK ran down and kicked the shit out of everybody, and Statlander too. Well, Willow came and ran everybody off all by herself. So Willow's a superhero.
Yes.
The end.
Willow Cena.
You can see her. There she is.
But you sure can.
You can see it. You can see a lot of. Man, I love
Actually,
that.
she looked all right actually on Collision, to be honest. She looked better than usual, I felt anyway.
She's just here to keep an eye on things, Jimmy.
She's keeping an eye on things. Did she mention about the Owen Hart Classic?
Yes.
That was the earlier segment.
I know, I'm just fucking around. But anyway, so that was Collision. Does that mean we need to give our grades?
It's grade time. Grades pending. Here we
great.
go.
It's great time.
I'm just gonna keep mine grade pending. I'm just keeping mine. That's mine. Grade pending.
We're still conducting the health inspection here. Okay, so for me, this is like the flattest C. It's just a C, because
a flat C.
Almost everything that took place between the ropes and back behind the camera, almost everything, just meh. But the show, like in terms of just, they kept it going, they kept it moving. Most of the matches didn't really overstay their welcome. The one that did, there was a reason. Like, they did a time limit gimmick for it, so there was a reason for it to go 20 minutes. Like, we may not like it, but at least they were doing an angle. So there you go. So I like the idea of just having like quick matches, some squash matches, some lightly competitive matches, all that stuff, and just moving on, moving things forward, talking about the Owen Hart tournaments coming up, even though we don't care about tournaments allegedly, but at least they're just saying, hey, I'm going to be in it. Hey, I'm going to be in it. Hey, I'm going to be in it. So we found out some people that's going to be in it. Basically they were like, all the moving parts were good. That's like the nice restaurant atmosphere that I'm talking about. And then every, if I'm ordering like a filet mignon, it's like, instead of an 8 ounce, it's like a half ounce. Like, they just put a little speck of meat on the plate and put a bunch of garnish around it. And, they do all that. And it's like, I just got this one little thing of Hook beating up the premier athletes and talking about lacrosse. Like, that's it. Just one bite. I'm not full. That's basically the story of the show. So I would just give it a C. What about you, Jimmy? What do you think?
I'll say a D for me. I've been giving a lot of D's for Collision every week lately. Again, look,
I'm about to laugh hysterically. So just when you just said that,
he's giving Collision the D, Professor.
The dick. I'm giving them the big dick.
Pause.
But no, in all seriousness, though, I mean, sure, on paper the matches were fine, and a few people in the chat actually liked the show. But if you're watching it from a wrestling perspective, sure, it was decent. But when it comes to like a program type of show, like storyline wise and all that, there's nothing really to it, to me. And if there is, it wasn't done like well, in my opinion. It's just rushed all the time. We're having a match, like for example, the FTR Blackpool Combat Club match at the start of the show. That match was just to set up the future match. That's all it was. So there's some sort of storyline, if you want to call it that. And I use that term lightly because it was a time limit draw. Right? So that's lazy for me. So saying that, straight up D. They get the D from me, Jimmy T.
I guess, I have to get the grade pending paper off and then put the real grade there. So I'll use the analogy like I'm in the restaurant. I want my steak well done. And then the waiter comes with my steak. It's medium rare. So I'm losing a lot of stuff in there. It's just, there's a lot of pink and blood coming out of it. So that's my grade right there. It's a medium rare steak. Is that better than a grade, actual letter grade? If I want my steak well done and I get medium rare, that's my grade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If
what about in Greek?
Done, yes.
Medium rare.
Yeah. If you ordered it medium rare, this was the show for you, I guess. But if you wanted it well done, it was not well done. It was rarely done.
It was rarely done. See what he did there? See, personally, I love my steak well done also, man. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. I know you lose out on nutrients, and that's the problem. You know what I mean? They're never giving you anything. Like, you know what I mean? They're just giving you be happy. Basically, this is your slop. It's like jail food, man. Not that I know what jail food is.
The reason you'll give it a C or a D is because we're never going to question the wrestling. The wrestling's fine.
No, the wrestling's fine. Absolutely.
But then you got to give, if you're going to bump it up to a B or an A, you got to give you got to cook my steak. So they didn't cook my steak. Yeah, cook it, goddammit, cook it.
But they used the good ingredients on the other two shows.
See, the worst thing, I'll say this, because do you guys in the chat or Jimmy or Vet remember the movie Waiting with Ryan Reynolds, the restaurant movie? So when the person now I get my steak, it's medium rare. When I ask for well done, they took the steak back. Tony Khan's the cook. Now he's pissing.
Well, Tony Khan just kicked him off the air.
You got unplugged, Professor. The mic got unplugged. The mic got unplugged right when you said Tony Khan's pissing on you.
Yeah, exactly. He's right on point.
On my steak, he's putting boogers on my steak, and then he's giving it back to me.
He
and then
spat
I'm
on
supposed
your
to
steak.
eat it. And he spat on my steak, and I'm supposed to eat it, and then I'm supposed to like it. No, I'm not gonna like it. That's the problem.
And God damn it, you asked for fries with your steak, and you got vegetables instead.
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't what we wanted. Essentially, is what we're saying, for different reasons. But it was all. We're leaving the restaurant, and the Yelp reviews are incoming, and it don't look good. Yeah,
I'm starving.
Yes.
God damn, pal.
There you
go. So that's a C, D, and a medium rare from the prof. Well, in saying that, boys, tell them, Vet, where they can find you, man. And what you're doing. Are you going to be on the Twitch later on? And what's cracking?
Yeah, probably. You can always find me on Twitch or any other social media platform or any kind of platforms at Opinion Haver. Very easy to remember. All one word, Opinion Haver, except no substitutes. Few, though, there may be. And you can find me every Monday night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern live. With Brandon for the Impact Attack, where I talk about TNA. And you can find me every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern with Big Ray Hernandez for the Next Level Wrestling Review, where we talk about NXT. And it's never been a better time to watch both shows because these companies are working together.
I know, you would have thought.
Yeah, so I'm in charge. I'm the liaison between everybody in this whole mess. And I did not ask for this, for the record, but we're getting it. So tune in to me to find out all your NXT TNA news. And when you're not tuning into me and learning about NXT TNA, Collision, or anything else that I might be doing, then check out Rib Rogers, because he's got a show. It's also 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern at a concrete time that they go live, and then you can just get in that chat and you can ask Rib Rogers a question. Imagine you have a question. Rib Rogers might answer it. He may not give you the answer you want or that you think you want, but he's going to give you the answer that you need ultimately. So that's your opportunity to interact, and it's always a good time over there. Good chat, good questions, good banter, good arguments between Von Lilas and Rip. So check that out. And then you also want to check out everything Stevie Richards is doing. He's still doing product reviews for different workout equipment. He's making videos that are very useful. I wouldn't think they'd be useful, but apparently he thought it was useful enough to make a video explaining how fast food is absolutely not cheaper than groceries. And what are you talking about? So you can check out that video and many others on all of Stevie Richards' channels. So check him out. And I think that's it for me.
Yeah. Prof, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on the Xer at PWSOPRF. That's PWSOProf. And I don't handle the stuff in the current. I take the time machine and go back. So that's where you find me. You find me in the time machine, going way back in time, where I host the most nostalgic podcast out there, available on the PWC, available on Hami Media Group, and that's the Pro Wrestling Reflection Podcast with myself and the Tommy Wonder. And we dropped an episode this past weekend. We did a Pro Wrestling Spotlight, greatest tag team heartthrobs. You know them, you love them. You love the rockers. You love the American males. You love the Rock and Roll Express. We named them all, and I had a fun show doing that. So check that out, guys.
But what about the heartthrobs? Were they also in
Professor,
there?
I noted a couple of times when Ray was promoting the show, in the graphic, they definitely weren't there. But was there any mention of Antonio the Promise Thomas and Romeo Rosselli, the heartthrobs? Were they in the conversation?
Stay tuned.
I guess you'll just
gotta tune in and find out.
Exactly. You got to tune in. The perfect answer.
And like Prof said, you can find it on the PWC Network. It's also on YouTube right now on the PWC Network in video form if you want to watch it, which is on both. But anyway, in saying that, if you want to follow me on the X, you can at DJ Mass Effects right there. And also at the PWC Network. Like and subscribe right here at channelattitude.com, where for $5. Not only do you get the realest but the best talk in all of pro wrestling, and also at HaminMediaGroup.podbean.com, where you can also find the reflection or the spotlight from yours truly, Prof, and Tommy Wonder in the Pro Wrestling Reflection. You got to check, guys. If you haven't checked out that show, you've got to check it out. It is a great show. It's not what if you're not into the old stuff, it's not what you think. It's a lot more than that. So check it out, the Pro Wrestling Reflection podcast with the Professor himself, and also Tommy Wonder, and also at the pwcnetwork.podbean.com, where you can find all the other shows. And stay tuned, because soon I'll be doing a Smack Attack and I'll be interviewing. I know it's been up on the interwebs about John interviewing Curry Jay White, who's big on the independent scene in Texas, particularly. He's also appeared. Yeah, I know. Trust me, every time I say it, I almost second guess myself. I almost want to say to him, but why the Jay White part? You know what I mean? But it's spelled Jai. So, yeah.
Isn't that Jai then?
Well, he calls himself Jai. Okay, Jai. I guess quit jiving me, turkey. See what I did there? But whatever, however you want to
Michael Jai White from Blood and Bone fame, or Black Dynamite, or Undisputed.
That's the way it's pronounced to us, Jai.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's how. Look, this is how he pronounces his name. Maybe I should ask him that again, because that's how everyone's been saying it. Whatever it is, stay tuned, because I will be interviewing him in about probably within the hour.
We're not telling him the way he pronounces is wrong. I'm just saying the way I've heard it. That's just us. The way he says it.
Jay, whatever you want to say. If it was up to me, I'd probably take the white.
We're not sure about you, Jimmy.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Hey, I've already interviewed him once before, and I heard Jay instead of what was it? What was it, Prof? How did you say Jai?
Jai, yeah, like Michael Jai White.
Right. So maybe it is Jai, but that's not what I heard. Anyway, whatever it is, stay tuned. Guns up.
That's the Mandela effect right there, Haminites.
Hey, Berenstein Bears, Berenstein Bears, whatever you think it is. Yes, it is right, not white per se. But yes, you're right, Zane. So check that out. I'll be interviewing. And plus, everyone in the chat asked for it. You're going to get it. So stay tuned. Once we go off the air, I've got something special for everybody right away. So in saying that, I am Jimmy T.
Where's the QR code, Jimmy?
It will come up in a moment. You might get a kick out of this. You might actually get a kick out of this. So hold on and check this out, because I quickly did it while we're doing the show. So it's nothing perfect, but still, I thought I'd do it because it's funny. In saying that, I am Jimmy T. That is the vet Jamie Williams, and that is the Professor Chabelo Vera Cruz. And you've been listening and watching the HMG Saturday Night Wreckage right here on Hamin Media Group YouTube channel and on channelattitude.com. And we're out. A peace.